No tengo idea si esto va a funcionar o no, así que voy a esperarme tantito a que me lo digan acá en el canal rapidísimo y ahorita cierro todo lo demás. ¿Funciona esto? ¿Me pueden escuchar? Qué frustración tan grande. Odio StreamYard. Las nuevas actualizaciones de esta cagada son las peores que han hecho en toda su puta vida. Quien esté a cargo de la compañía o quien sea el nuevo definitivamente merece ser pateado en los huevos. ¿Sí me escuchan? Sí, 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 o no, 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 no. Perfecto. Ok. Pues buenos días. Voy a empezar esto rápido, ya para irnos. La parte, lo que les quería platicar de el gran Donald Trump es por qué no está cumpliendo sus promesas, por qué se ve como si estuviera comprometido, y vamos a platicar de eso, ¿no? Como lo de Epstein y todo eso, pero lo haremos después. Honestamente, mil disculpas a todos ustedes. Estamos aquí para el casino del tío Salo y es justamente lo que vamos a hacer. Así que les voy a traer a Alex y a Farhan que están acá y vamos a darle a las tablas. Lo siento. Se lo repongo después. Alrighty. What's up,
Buenos
boys?
días, muchachos.
Great. Just share your chart, please, while I fix this entire thing. I hope whoever is in charge of StreamYard dies of painful diarrhea. That's all I'm asking for. All right, here you go.
They deserve to have. Oh, never mind. It's a little graphic. I'm not gonna mention that. They used to do back in the day with the other way of diarrhea, where they used to force it, and then you have to. Never mind.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Me
Anyways,
neither. Me neither.
good morning, boys. Let's look at the corn and see here. We're right at 118. This is a big zone. We've been watching 118 for a while. 118 is kind of like the mid-range I'm using. If we're above 118, generally bullish momentum to the upside. Under 118 does open up some issues for bulls. And that's just evident on the daily EMA 9. We've seen the daily EMA 9 hold pretty nicely on this rally. I mean, over here in this consolidation, you were unable to lose the daily EMA 9. You had a volatility setup right before we broke out, springing off the 9 to a new all-time high. Now, this daily is interesting because ultimately, bulls are essentially going to need to take this wick high out. Like, that is going to be the objective sooner rather than later. This is a massive shooting star on the daily. You've gotten follow through. You're potentially in lower high posturing. So bears are going to try to, take us more down. While bulls are simply going to use this as a throwback of the daily EMA 9. You ever so slightly lost it here. You reclaimed it. You expanded. And so now I'd want to see this be a throwback, meaning that I'd want to see Bitcoin start moving up from this point and actually start getting bought up. This would then leave a really nice wick to the upside, giving us the momentum we need to actually break out from that 120 zone. Because $120,000 remains major resistance. This is a big zone where we keep going up to 120,000 and then rejecting and going down. All yesterday was, which granted was a nice move to the upside, was just another retest of that 120 zone. So we want to watch this day really carefully. Daily volatility is contracted, 0 session read on volatility, telling us that a daily move is coming, but it's still not confirmed yet on the short side. For me to be really confirmed on the short side and more convinced we're going to go and actually test that $115,000 region will just simply be if the daily EMA 9 gets lost. I then can look at another easy entry around a short, targeting around here. Until then, I'm sitting on my hands. I'm not on short. I'm not watching for shorts per se. Rather, I want to see a reaction around here, and I want to see if bulls are actually going to use the daily EMA 9 as a spring. So far, we're slightly under it, perfectly fine. It's going to be really crucial to see this get bought up within the next 10 hours at this exact spot that we're at. Nice. More confluence of a bounce idea, right, is simply this. You've been simply holding the EMA 21 on the 12-hour. This is going to be important. Let me delete this. This is going to be important to hold, simply. If you don't hold the 21, right, next objective will be the 34. That is right around Yeah, right around 116,200, right around the mean line. So, I mean, it's pretty simple. Like if you start losing this region to 21, you'll get your next move to the 34. There's confluence of a deeper pullback. It's about a 1.2% difference. So, depending on, how much size you're trading, it still is a pretty nice move. But regardless, this still tells you, yeah, this is still at support. This is a zone where we've been bouncing before. Bitcoin is at a bounce zone. When I see that, I'd rather more look for longs than shorts. But understand that once you really start taking out, especially yesterday's low, that's when things do start becoming a concern. That is when you have to really look at $116,000 carefully. So if you start losing $116,000 on like a daily or above, yeah, that'll be a big concern, and we potentially are going to actually go a lot deeper down. Deeper down for me, a deeper pullback, right? I'm just gauging that on the 12 hour. It's very simple. I'll throw the EMA 5 off, and we'll just look at the ranges, the 9, the 21, the 34. Simply speaking, if you just lose the zone at 116, yeah, big dump down to like 111,000, 110,000. And at that point, you'd have to be just watching simply the weekly 9. We've been in this posturing before where we've broken out and we just are kind of like pretty far away from the weekly 9. Generally,
Is it frozen for me? Or
no,
No,
this.
anyone else?
Alex, there you go.
Oh, was it not on?
No, yeah.
Oh, oh, that's fun. Okay. Well, we're simply gauging the weekly EMA 9. You want to watch that specifically when you do see that it has moved up to around that $111,000 region. That's significant because that $111,000, give or take a few $100s, has been holding those wick highs. Wick high rejection, wick high rejection, wick high rejection. So the weekly EMA 9 is very important because this is what we were already gauging on this breakout. So we want to be really watching this zone carefully. I'll just move to the living room. That way there's no connection issues. So if you do get that move down to the weekly EMA 9, I'd be watching that zone as the extremity low. I'd be watching that very carefully because now we're getting confluence that, well, if you do end up going down to the zone, we were already looking for an SR flip right around this region. You're getting confirmation of that now with this weekly EMA 9. So as a trader, you need to watch that very carefully because this is basically lined up perfectly with the zone that we were already watching for a major opportunity. And so now with the weekly finally giving us a volatility setup, this is primed for a big move in August. See nothing here. Still in breakout posturing, had that false breakdown on the 2-week, bounced off the 2-week 9, got reclaimed, threw it back. And now again, we're potentially just forming a new range as well. I mean, again, all Bitcoin likes to do is range majority of the time. A new range will be formed. That's why we want to be watching this area carefully, right at $116,000. So this can engulf, technically. It can't, by the way. It needed to take this wick high out. So again, I'm really watching to see if, bulls are going to step in here. It's going to be quite crucial. Let's check the 12 hour on this one. Interesting. So the 12 hour, you see, you lost the median. You just simply rejected it. Now, yes, you're at the 21, but what you see is if this doesn't hold, confluence of that 116 zone coming in next. With volatility reset, you do want to be cautious here, meaning if you start losing the daily EMA 9, I do think that's going to really start solidifying the bull's idea, essentially. The idea was that, yeah, this was a trap. This got the reclaim. You've sprung. This should have taken you to all-time high. this just kind of getting rejected at 120,000 is a cause of concern for sure. Because again, it just plays into bulls. Once we get to this point at 120,000, many are just longing for an all-time high breakout, thinking it's easy money. And so far, it hasn't really been easy money the last few times we've been up here. And actually, each time we've actually led to a rejection down to around that 116 region. We saw that here, broke out, rejected. Next zone was that 116 that did get hit. Here you broke out, rejected. Here we went down, finding support around 116,300, broke out, rejected. And so now, I mean, I don't think it's illogical now to be watching for $116,000 to be next. If and when you lose $116,000, which can be interpreted as, call it July 15th wick low, if you start losing this wick low on a daily close, yeah, that'll be a big sign for me that we are going to go lower. The 12-hour is in breakdown posturing, and you do need to be looking at like a lot lower, like $111,000. I believe that's like a 5% gap, more or less 4.5%, but still pretty sizable dump from that $116,000. So that's Bitcoin. We've always been gauging a pullback. The question is the pullback going to be shallow, meaning finds footing here, or do we need to come all the way down to that 111,000 to maybe 109,300 region? It's going to be really crucial though to be watching specifically the 12-hour and or the daily today, because that is what's going to guide you to kind of give you more reference on if we are going to get a deeper pullback, or if maybe the daily EMA 9 is going to hold. Because we definitely don't want to front run that idea. It could definitely still hold. And I was gauging a move down to here anyways. So now it's just more of a matter of, do bulls hold this low? Do we end up getting bought up? Or does this just end up being a massive just deviation down essentially? You can gauge the lower time frames to really start representing if we are going to start bouncing. And it's going to be really, like, in my opinion, started by getting above the EMA 100 on the hourly. Been getting big moves on the hourly EMA 100. At least nice volatility. It's been kind of a nice reference, right? You start losing this, I know, okay, we're probably going to rally up, retest it. But generally, you've been expanding down. Bitcoin's been expanding down once you lose the EMA 100, the green line. So we have lost that. We did expand down. You even try to reject it here. So it's going to be really crucial now to just be watching that EMA 100 on the hourly. It's going to be really crucial. And lastly, on the lower time frame, right? This is what we need to hold. Where my moving averages. There it is. This is still the big watch, right? This kind of is a good way to summarize 116 being support, mid-range of this overall range. Is just kind of this, the 4-hour EMA 100. Even on this move down, that's kind of where I wanted to TP my shorts. We front ran that a little bit, got a really nice bounce right up to resistance. But again, we're still just watching this EMA 100. It's going to be really crucial to see that hold. Because again, more often than not, an easy trade for me is playing the EMA 100 on the 4-hour. It's that simple. I mean, you lose it, you just know you can open up shorts. If you reclaim it, you just know you can open up longs, and or if you hold it. So that is still going to be what I'm watching. If you end up really dumping hard today, I'm still going to be gauging weakness if we start losing this on a 4-hour. Because then I know then the daily has just lost the 9, and also the 12-hour EMA 34 is gone, giving me confluence of a deeper pullback right into this region. Then I'd have to be looking at the weekly. Weekly's telling me that perfectly okay if you get a pullback. This is something we've been talking about for, like, you know, since we broke out here. Is if we did end up getting this, it still would be okay. Still would be bullish, and it still would adhere to the higher low and overall macro trend. So that's Bitcoin. That's what I have there. Let's look at Tether dominance and take a look at what we're dealing with here. Let's clean this up a bit. Nice. So we are at support. Don't want to disregard that. You're front running it slightly here. I know we were looking at this chart on the 5-day, so let's take a look. Just on the LGBTQ chart. Nice. So we are rallying up. We got support up to 61.8%. We were talking about this 4% zone being major support. We've seen this the last, a few occurrences where we actually came down here, hit support, found a pretty nice bottom, at least locally. Here, same scenario. You formed a price divergence, flirted with support a few times before going up. And so same thing, you're now breaking down. You're almost at major support, but here you're starting to get a rally up. So again, what could this rally just turn into? Well, we've always been gauging the lower high on Tether dominance. And even per the HBDR, this is telling you that, yeah, this definitely can't afford a bounce. And all this definitely could be is a bearish retest bounce, like come up to here and then you reject. Because you should be gauging that anyways, simply because the trend is down. This should have been a higher low. This was your lower low break. Any move up to this zone, specifically 4.69%, will be looked at as some kind of lower high forming in the midst of a fresh downtrend on Tether dominance, playing into the idea that Bitcoin is simply grinding out a higher low somewhere around that weekly EMA9. So, I mean, it makes sense. You're just gauging a lower high on Tether dominance, inverse correlation to Bitcoin, higher low on Bitcoin. The hard part is just where is that higher low going to come and where will it form on Tether dominance to lower high? That's why I like using the EMA9, easy gauge. Generally, you do like forming your lower highs around that. And the HBDR does give us confluence that, yeah, this definitely can't afford a bounce. Does that mean we're so back? Definitely not. You have an SFP play. Any move up to 4.69 to 4.6% will be looked at as a major ejection zone on Tether dominance. Today, I'll be watching carefully. We want to see if this median and or the daily 9 gets reclaimed. More confluence of a deeper pullback if so. Interesting. It's interesting to see the bottom of the 38.2% is right at that 5%. It is very interesting. While the 2-week is in a downtrend. So hypothetically speaking, per this 2-week chart, even if you went all the way up to here, it still would be looked at as a lower high. So, and then you just be like in like a kind of like a bear flag. Overall, though, Tether dominance is still looking very bearish. I think it can afford some kind of bounce. We've gotten that. But now that bounce is really, really going to be important for bulls to either reject us down or if for bulls to start reclaiming specifically above 4.69% again. 4.69% is the spot for me on Tether dominance. We just see that it works. Reclaim, breakout, retest, and then a nice move up. And then same, you lost 4.69%. You couldn't reclaim it, leading to a nice move down. Very crucial to watch the 4.69% in confluence with specifically that like 5-day EMA9 and or the weekly 9. So that's Tether dominance, still looking very corrective. Could give us a bounce. Bounce will be a lower high. And or really, I mean, once this monthly closes, this will be in breakdown posturing. Let's see this. Did this give us a volatility setup? No. Close though. And it is above the moving average now, which granted, it got lost in August of 2024. So, it's been a while since it was above the moving average. It will be very crucial to be watching this because even if, let's say this view, we just get the monthly close, you would be gauging this as a breakdown. Very minimum, at least retest this before going down. Where have we seen this before? Here, you lost the 38.2%, broke down, and any rally up to the bottom side of that breakdown range essentially rejected. It's more evident here. where you just rejected, big breakdown. So again, the monthly, right, that view is telling you very easily can go down to like 4%. Very easily can get bounces up to that 4.69% before rejecting into next month. So you still had a major spot on Bitcoin dominance. No need to overcomplicate things. Simply, you're just waiting and watching this zone like a hawk. You want to see the monthly close above the EMA 9 and the EMA 100. This then will be a nice bottom zone, potentially getting us back above the 62.5%, leading to a nice breakout overall. And I am still in the camp that that is what's going to occur. But again, I'll quickly be wrong on this if you start losing that monthly 9. Simply losing the monthly 9 means you're back within the blue zone. You've lost the top side of the 38.2%. This should be looked at as a throwback. You've lost the monthly 9, not a good sign. It's been holding for multiple months now. Multiple months. Haven't lost it since the beginning of this bull market. But also, this would be the first deviation of the EMA 100. That would then put that in bearish posturing if you ended up retesting it. So I'd be very cautious of this, but still, it's 8 days to go until this monthly closes. Very easily can bounce. And if it does bounce, I just need to see it get back above 62.58%. Because, this still is not the worst, and it did just retest the top side of the 38.2%. Volatility is contracting. To me, I just want to start seeing this get bought up. If we start losing the monthly 9, yeah, that'll be a shift of structure, and then we'll be looking at potentially a lot lower, maybe around that 57.4%. Range breakdown. So even if it goes up to that 62.5%, you should still be just looking at that as resistance. And confluence with that 5-day EMA 34. That's a nice view here. So, just be watching the zone carefully. In theory, this should hold now. Like, this should hold. Just like this held, this top, and we broke down, this should hold now. The 65% shouldn't get reclaimed if bears are actually going to start moving us down. But again, very well could start ranging like this. EMA 100, EMA 34. We get into like a moving average range until one of these breaks. That's Bitcoin. Overall, we're at support. We're watching the daily 9. This needs to hold. You are getting some really big things going into August that I'll quickly mention here. And this is why we want to be really, really, really just locked in right now, watching carefully, and really understanding that, what we've seen so far has just simply been that daily volatility, 2-day volatility, and 3-day volatility. That's it. This move up was just daily, 2-day, 3-day volatility expanding. But that's not the fun setup that we've been talking about pretty, frequently this past month. The fun setup is still brewing, and actually it's potentially firing off. That's the 5-day. So the 5-day is firing off. And so it's going to be really, really crucial for bulls to watch the close and or get us back above 118 on a 5-day close. It's going to be quite important. Because in doing so, if we can actually start springing and bouncing from this point, you could in August start theoretically seeing that 5-day volatility sort of fire off. That's significant because, well, you do have 35 to 40% moves upon volatility expansion. Let's take it from here. That would mean that you're potentially to the downside first, going to get a move all the way down to the 5-day EMA 100, closer to the weekly EMA 100, right around $75,000, right around that low. And we've seen that before. Bitcoin absolutely can test around this low that everyone's convinced won't ever get tested again. Or on the flip side, if we go up, right, 35% up, means you're pressing around that $160,000 on Bitcoin. So, you know, big moves are still coming. Volatility is still primed, and we are still looking very bullish. And that's why today I really do want to stress that before we actually lose the daily 9, please look at this zone as a bounce zone. That's it. This zone should get a bounce and it should get bought up. And I'm actually going to be playing this to the longs today. And that's just shown here on the 21. I like playing the 21. I saw how nice the 9 worked on the 12-hour. So there's no reason why this 21 shouldn't hold on the 12-hour, giving you a nice breakout move to $122,000. So watch very carefully. I'll be looking at that as potentially a setup. And yeah, that's all I have for Bitcoin. I may post a Bitcoin long here soon. And it's simply just playing this. It's not very hard. We just simply want to see these lows hold. Need to start seeing this get bought up. Getting back above 118,000, giving us a move up to 120,000. Breaking yesterday's high is your confirmation of a breakout. And your target is around $125,000. Taking out this wick high too. So yeah, that's all I have on Bitcoin. Interesting stuff. I do think though it's going to bounce from here. We'll obviously watch the daily, but I am pretty convinced though daily 9 is going to hold.
And the Bitcoin long posted yesterday still hasn't been stopped. The stop loss on that one is 160 and 190. That one is still active.
That's a good long, because even if you lose the daily 9, you could just cut it simply.
Yeah, that would be the other stop loss factor on it, if not the automatic stop loss on closing basis. So I'm going to start on the 12-hour for this time. I'll do the index instead of the dolphin chart, a little bit more relevant. So we are finding a little bit of support right at this 21 EMA. We are bouncing how much? About almost 0.5% off of this 21 EMA. And our jewel is still giving us a buy signal. The curvature is still pretty strong to the upside right now. And the jewel momentum has taken out these previous lows while making a significantly higher low, giving us possibility of a 12-hour hidden bullish divergence. Right now, to confirm the divergence is going to be a little bit difficult. You would have to close above about $120,000, $133. That would take out this previous major lower high, and that would very likely take you up again towards this 61.8% on the HPDR. Right now, the 61.8% is right around $125,000, right? Slightly above that $124,000 area that we just heard about. And right now, momentum is right at the reset zone. This is the area where if you are going to end up being bullish, we would flip it up. Because if you're going to go to the bottom 38.2% and now hold this 21 EMA, this is where the momentum would go to the bearish control zone. It still wouldn't be a dead sentence at that bottom 38.2%. It would still just be making a possibility for another higher low and just putting in another drive of hidden bullish divergence. But right now, what we want to see is if this 21 is going to hold or not, because then if it doesn't, then we would have to move our eyes to that 38.2%. Right now, that 38.2% is at about $116,000 exactly, $115,992. Our exact last major bottom was at the bottom 38.2%. It's same as this point here, but right before we had our busting action, where we made a high, consolidated, then we had some bust action. That was also at the bottom 38.2%. So it would be very similar to the same move that we had before, and we would be doing it in hidden bullish divergences like we did at that point. But until we've lost this 12-hour 21, our eyes would have to be at this area right now. Shift to a little bit of a lower time frame. Right now, the 4-hour is right at the edge of the bearish control zone. So this is the same idea as the 12-hour, where if it can flip up from around here, it would form hidden bullish divergence, and that would be what we would need to take us back into the 120s. Right now, on the 4-hour, it's a little bit easier to confirm the divergence in the 12-hour. Although based on the candles, it might be a little difficult, but it looks easier than the 12-hour. You'd have to close above $118,690. And that would give you a technical target of hitting the 50%, right above this previous projected high at about 121.5. If you can start to close
Great.
in $12, that will take you to about that 124s area. And that is a move of about, let's see how much from that 121. Roughly 2.7%. The jewel right now on the 4-hour is starting to curve around, starting to give you a neutral signal. It has not given you the sell signal just yet. If you close below this 38.2%, however, then it is going to give you a sell signal, and from there, you would very likely be hitting this 100. That's around that same $116,000 area. Last time you tapped the 100 EA, kind of front ran it, but basically a similar idea. For the 100 EMA, that's what will give you your spring to give you the busting action to new all-time highs. Right now, the same idea right now, as of now, if we lose our current lows, we're looking for that 116 area to be going max long for new all-time highs. The invalidation on that for that 116 area holding, this is going to be a little bit difficult because you do have nothing but air from here, no support. Your next area of support is going to be sitting around 111 to 112 $10,000. So that's going to be your 4-hour 100. Sitting around this zone is where the entire rally is going to start coming into question, because if you can't hold this area, you're likely going to break below $100,000, and at that point, my target is going to be somewhere in the 70s, which is very scary to hear, but that's the reality of dealing with numbers like this. And the reality of dealing with straight up moves is that you don't really have much area for consolidation that makes support. So you just slice right through them, just like how you slice right through them to the upside. Now let's switch to a little bit higher time frame. Daily right now is also at that same area, just dancing on that thin line of support, where we're approaching the previous open of the daily candle. We are bouncing from that open. It doesn't really mean much, especially since we're significantly under that daily median. We have to see where that daily median moves to on this next closure, because if it moves up, very likely we're just going to get a bearish retest and then move into the bottom 38.2%, which would be right around this daily 21 at that same $116-ish thousand area. Last time we got our spring into the new all-time highs was also a front run of that 21 EMA. Daily momentum is right now pointed to the downside with volatility expanding. However, this momentum to the downside has not been confirmed just yet, because we have not gotten the daily close, although it does seem like kind of a formality, because we would have to close this daily above the median for this to flip back up. And that would be a close over about $120,000, basically 119,970. Around the daily, jewel is forming a very bearish cross. The pink has crossed below the yellow. Once again, this also has not been confirmed, but this also seems like a formality to me to confirm. On this daily close in about 9 hours, that will confirm. And let's draw the vertical line whenever we had this cross in the bullish control zone. Right there. This one's not the best, but it works. And we'll call it there. This one was a failure. Went up how much from open? About 1.5%. What is that about? Rally France. This one also 1.2%. Wait, I'm looking at bearish. I'm retarded. Absolutely retarded. My bad, Prince. That was 14.8%. This one was about 23%. Both double digits. This one was a failure. This one was only about 1.3%. So the average move so far is somewhere in the double digits. Haven't gotten through to make a trend just yet. Let's try this one. This one immediately was about 12.97%, very similar to that 13% move. Got somewhat of a bounce in consolidation, then you get another move down of about 25%, also in line with that 20s. About 8% immediately, and then about 10%, very similar to the 12% move. And as of now, we have seen a move down of 2%. So if we were to take that move of about 10, that would bring us to roughly $107,000. So if this average move does play out, it would bring us right around that 109, 110 area. And if you can't hold that area, I would use a closing basis of 110 or a tick of about, give you a tick number. About 101 would be your tick number. Close below 110 or wick, tick below 101.49, and then very, very likely you're probably going to go to $70,000, and that's going to form another drive of monthly bearish divergence. Also, probably putting in quarterly hidden bearish divergence. We will get to that on a quarterly chart. There's no daily bearish divergence though because it didn't make another higher high. The high close was about 116, 195, and this one was about 118. 2-day is also positioned to the downside now. 2-day is it that forming any divergence? 2-day also, the 2-day has bearish divergence as well because we have a lower high over here. It's going to confirm with a close below about 116,521, and that's not really that much lower. It gives us a move into the median, which right now is about 113.7, probably a little bit lower to tap that 21 EMA. This is going to be that same move down to in about that 110 area. That would form a hidden bullish divergence on the 2-day going to 110s and holding. That's the key, holding it. 2-day has on the bearish hand, however, formed a God mode sell signal on the jewel. Pink is still above the yellow, so they're still holding him alive. 5-day. 5-day still has momentum to the upside, so this is where the high time frames do favor the bulls. Where momentum is flipped to the upside on the 5-day, it does have hidden bullish divergence with volatility expansion, and the 5-day does have a bullish jewel posturing with hidden bullish divergence on the jewel as well. Right now on the 5-day, as long as we are holding this 5 EMA, it is still positioned to the upside, and that's going to be on a closing basis. And 5 EMA right now is at about $115,400-ish. So on the more bullish move to the downside, if we can go to that 116 area, that would just be another retest of this 5 EMA. Ideally, if we can get a strong bounce from there, then we should go to 124s from there. Don't get a strong bounce, then I would start to get very, very cautious and probably start to reduce any long positions that I have. Wouldn't necessarily close it, but just start reducing some risk. Weekly is also same position posturing as the 5-day with momentum to the upside, hidden bullish divergence, and volatility expansion from extreme lows. The weekly jewel has not quite confirmed the buy signal on just yet. It's on the cyan. It will confirm in about 4 days, and it will confirm as long as you're closing anywhere above about $117,300, which we're about $700 above right now. What's the open? So basically, you just have to close this candle green, and that would confirm as a buy signal. 2-week is also still in a very bullish posturing. We have 2 closures over the median. We have basically not quite a back test of the median. We front ran it a little bit. If we do get a move into that 116, 115 area, all that would really be is a back test of that 2-week median after getting 2 closures above it. And right now, we would have a 61.8% chance of within the next 2 candle closures, which will give you about like 25 days of hitting that 38.2%, which right now is at a pretty insane number of about $146,000. But this number will change in about 11 days. What I want to see it go to is somewhere in the 130s. Right now, momentum on the 2-week is right at the moving average. It hasn't flipped down yet. This would be the area where if the daily can put in hidden bullish divergence, then and this is the reset zone, that this would flip back up and go into the bullish control zone. We want to see it just get slightly a little bit lower to take out these lows so we can have 2-week hidden bullish divergence as well. Jewel also has hidden bullish divergence on 2-week. Monthly right now is positioned to the downside. We have started to flip back up, which was the idea right around the edge of the bearish control zone. As long as we are holding this 38.2%, this monthly would flip back around. Right now, volatility is still in an expansion phase. What we are waiting is for at least one more close over around over that $107,200 area. Then monthly will flip back over the moving average, and that's going to confirm 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence on the HPR momentum, giving you a pretty easy target of that median, which median also right now sits at that $145,000 area that we just saw. Monthly jewel hasn't quite switched into a buy signal just yet, but in my opinion right now, that's kind of a formality because you'll have to close over $107,000, and we're about $11,000 over that area. We have seen crazier things than $11,000 dumps in a little over a week, but it hasn't happened yet. And right now, monthly still does have active hidden bullish divergence with volatility set up. We'll get to that in the momentum chart. Quarterly. I bet it's Magua. Quarterly is also putting in possible hidden bullish divergence with the momentum not quite confirmed to the downside just yet, but it is below the moving average. And right now, to avoid that momentum confirming to the downside, you would have to close over about that same $107,000 area, $107,000 to $107,200 area, and that would give you also targets at that 145. Let's go to now RSI. Tether is now getting follow through on that bearish divergence on the monthly and the quarterly. Quarterly still has 3 drives of bearish divergence, which is now getting followed through by taking out the previous quarterly candlestick low, which was at about 4.36%. Now that we've taken that out, we will have a natural target of that divergence of that middle/reset zone on the RSI, and that level sits at about 3.94%. That is how much lower than we are at the moment? About 7-ish% where we are lower than we are now, which will correlate with somewhere between a 10 to 15% move up on Bitcoin. That would be right around those 100, just doing the math, roughly $130,000 area. Let's see if we're forming any other divergences. There is going to be one on the 6 month, I believe. Yes, 6 month now would have a target of that same mid threes area, but as long as you are closing over about 2.54%, you are going to have possible hidden bullish divergence on the 6 month. Once that hidden bullish divergence does confirm, that will give you a target of that bullish control zone, which right now sits at about 5.6%. That's going to be roughly a 25 to 30% up move on Tether dominance, correlating with roughly a 40 to 50% dump on Bitcoin. And that's where you get your bear market bottoms. Monthly right now still has that active hidden bearish divergence, which we confirmed on the previous 2 months, the month before last month's closure. And we are still working our way towards that divergence target, which is going to be that monthly 100 EMA. And I do expect a very big bounce from this area because this is the first time Tether dominance is ever testing the monthly 100. And this is what probably is going to be the what gives us our blow off top on Bitcoin. And whenever we tap that 100 EMA, I would personally probably start to de-risk all crypto investments, trades, any of those things. Not completely get out of the market, probably just de-risk any spot. Let's go to the targets off of the RSI targets off of the divergence, see if it lines up with our 100. Not quite. The bearish control zone is sitting somewhere around 2.59%. That would be the number that we would hit to maintain the 6 month hidden bullish divergence possibility. 2 week has now confirmed fresh drive of hidden bearish divergence on Tether. This is what drives my more medium-term bullishness on crypto, and this divergence is going to be active as long as you're closing up below 5.17%. Right now, you have hit the easy target, which is the neutral zone in the simple moving average. Your next move is going to be into the bearish control zone, which right now sits at about 2.74%. Very similar numbers to what we just saw before.
You got stuck. There you go. You're back.
My gigabit internet in Texas is way faster. There you go. Now we wait for the RSI. Any possibility of bullish divergences? There is. So if you do close over that 5.17% number, not only would you invalidate this hidden bearish divergence, you would put in a drive bullish divergence, and that's going to give you those same 5% targets. And I would probably be on the side that crypto bull market is over at that point. Although there is a new narrative going along on the crypto world that we are over with bull markets and bear markets because of the ETFs in the system, and all they're going to do is buy up every dip, so you'll never see a bear market again.
This is great, no? Because this is exactly where we needed to get to, where people said that it can't go down, and now we're basically almost there. So it's crazy how simple it is just looking at what they want people to believe and how well it works. It's crazy.
Just give me my blow off top exit pump. Let me get into my top shorts, and I'm happy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even the NFTs. I buy like really cheap NFTs. They went up like. Basically, I bought a couple of NFTs that were $50 and I sold for 100, just so you guys understand how stupid these trades are. And people are acting like it's the bull run of the bull run when these were worth $10,000 each back then. Like
it's that meme where it says,
it's
that meme where you see like a downtrending chart and it says bought here, then it bounces up like 3%, and they say told you so here.
Yeah. So I've been liquidating as many NFTs that I don't need, that I just bought to have extra. And I'm doubling my money on each one of these sales and going like, all right, well, everyone just waits to buy more. It's over. Like, I don't understand what these people think.
I'd love to sell my NFT, but I can't because the community members have to vote every 3 months to unlock the sales, and they never vote to unlock it.
Pieces of shit. Buy cheaper NFTs.
Well, yeah, the only NFT I bought was worth one whole Ethereum, so not quite cheap. 5-day on Tether dominance is still in a very bearish posturing, which is what also is driving my idea of one more pump on Bitcoin at the very least. We do still have a 5-day silver cross to the downside. The silver cross has been retested with a pretty nasty silver shooting star dildo, and we still have active bearish divergence right now. And we are forming multiple drives of hidden bearish divergence because we have taken out these highs on momentum while putting in lower highs on price. And to confirm that hidden bearish divergence, we would have to close below about 4.11%. That would give us targets of the critical zone, which right now is at that same 2% area, 2.89%. And we are getting a volatility set up right now with that bearish divergence, with volatility expanding from 2 periods of 0%. 3-day also has hidden bearish divergence. It's going to be active as long as you're closing below about 4.87%. And your next target would be about 3.3%. That lines up perfectly with the monthly 100. Four-hour currently has regular bearish bullish divergence, going along with the idea that short-term pullback on Bitcoin. Right now, we are finding some resistance at that 55 EMA. If we can start to get acceptance over that 55 EMA, that's what's going to give you your moves into that mid fours, right around 4.5. So line up a little bit over our 4-hour 100, and that would very likely be that move on Bitcoin down to that 115-ish area. Getting accepted over that 100 would take us to somewhere around that 4.6. This would be roughly about that $114-ish thousand area to do the gap fill on CME. Although if we are doing the gap fill, I'm kind of thinking that we're going to go a little bit lower than the gap because of how many people are looking to bid that gap fill, and probably that's when we go to that 110s. Go to Bitcoin. Bitcoin still has that 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence. It's going to be active now as long as you're closing above about $74,441. A little bit difficult to invalidate that, I'm going to say. I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably won't be invalidated on this candle. But and the next target is going to be the critical zone, which right now is at about $201,000. But this number is only relevant if we go to the critical zone in this candle closure. After this candle closes, this number will update. So far, it's been going up, so maybe it'll go up again. Monthly has invalidated the bearish divergence, put in a drive of hidden bullish divergence, and it also has another drive possible now, and it will be confirmed to the close over about $110,617. And that would give us a target somewhere around 167. This number will update in 8 days, however. 2 week is not putting in another drive of hidden bullish divergence possible. You would have to close over 123, 181, which is currently our all-time highs. And then that will give you a move into the critical zone, which right now it's going to update, but it's at 181. I'd like to see all of these numbers start to shift towards about 130s to 140s. But that's only because that fits my bias. Weekly now currently still has that active hidden bullish divergence that we put in on this weekly close in early July. Weekly now has volatility fully reset back into that extreme lows area. Last time we had our volatility expansion, what's to the upside, and that was off of hidden bullish divergence, which we have same right now. And as long as we are holding above that weekly 9 EMA on a closing basis, which is around that $111,000, $110,000 area, probabilities are still to the upside. But that move down to $110,000, if we get it, would be a pretty massive leverage wipe. Because from the top, that would be about like 10% down. Anyone who is more than 10x is gone. Even 9x is gone. Friday, nothing.
Well, hey, you can safely go and do your futures in Coinbase with a maximum of 10x.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Very
I bet
safe.
you those fees must be $800 trillion per dollar that you borrow. I can't imagine.
Imagine being the retard that trades perps on Coinbase. Like
No.
all of your money you would have made on your trade is gone in your fees. You've got to make like probably 50% just to break even.
Yeah, of course. Fucking terrible. Just with a miserable 10x. The fuck out of here.
I just noticed
Brian.
something.
What?
That's a massive inverse head and shoulders on the 3-day. We still got hidden bullish divergence active on that 3-day. We're putting in another drive of possible hidden bullish divergence. All of the really high time frames are forming multiple drives of possible hidden bullish divergence for that next breakout. But they all have pretty difficult confirmations. This one you have to close over about 120,893, and that will give you a target of the critical zone at about 134. Daily is now fully reset at 0% on volatility. Our last volatility expansion was to the upside. Zoom in on the RSI. We are now making lower lows on the RSI while still having I believe it's still a higher low. Yep, still a higher low on a closing basis, giving us a possible hidden bullish divergence on the daily too. And daily confirmation of that divergence will be a close over about 120,271. And our target from that would be the critical zone at about $123,700, basically current all-time high, slightly higher. 4-hour currently has active bearish divergence. It's going to be active as long as you're closing below about $118,690. And your next target is the critical zone. Bearish control zone, which right now sits at about $116,000. More confluence for that 116 zone. Now let's go to the momentum. Momentum is still pointed very strongly to the upside, while volatility is expanding from the lowest level ever. And we're going to be pointed up as long as we're closing over $108,200. Stochastic does not have the possible hidden bullish divergence that the RSI has, but as long as you have it on the RSI, it's good. Most of the most powerful ones are on all of your momentum oscillators, so that is something that you should know. Monthly, however, has it on the stochastic, on the RSI, on the Joule, on MACD. Every single momentum oscillator you can think of has it on the monthly. So that's what solidifies it. And the monthly has already confirmed that volatility setup by going below that 15% area, going back above 15% and closing above the 15%. And right now we are going to be pointed up as long as we are closing above $103,450. And since we have taken out this low here and put in a higher low, we have put in that hidden bullish divergence. Right now, there's another drive possible too. And it's that same number as before the closeover, which is about $110,617. Unfortunately, the stochastic doesn't give you any targets like the RSI does. But we can get a target from this volatility setup, which is if you take the previous volatility setup that happened to the upside, we went up about 180%. Take this volatility setup that happened to the upside, went up about 500%. I'm not going to apply any of those numbers, but another 15 to 20% doesn't seem too crazy considering we just had 180 and 500%. And then we'll get to the lower time frame volatility setups, and they're going to be more realistic numbers. 2 week is also now giving us that volatility setup, getting back above that 15% area. Once we get a closure above that 15% area, that's going to confirm the 2 week setup firing off also. And 2 week is going to be pointed up as long as we're closing over $118,650, which we are slightly below right now. So if this volatility confirms as above 15% expanding, and this momentum flips down, we're going to have a 2 week setup firing off to the downside, which that will then make it a lot more possible that monthly setup will fail to the upside. And that's going to be the first failure.
Yeah, ever. The volatility. I had been looking yesterday. I fucked up my neck, so I can't do fucking shit. Fuck. Sorry. I was looking at volatility yesterday and in multiple different time frames, and in Solana and Bitcoin specifically. And the 2 week and the 5 day were both expanding when we had that rally where Sol went to 203, 206, whatever the fuck he did, and Bitcoin went to 120. And it really was expanding fast. And then it just like took a step back and went back down. So if that's worth anything, it was expanding with it to the upside.
Yeah, that happens a lot, and then it doesn't get the confirmation, and then just goes right back down.
Yeah,
that's why the confirmation is the number one most important thing. You can't front run that confirmation.
Yeah, you need also times you need the actual what's it called? The time frame for that chart that you're looking at to close within that volatility expansion, right?
Yeah. And that's not even the most fucky situation. The most fucky situation is whenever it starts expanding to the upside, you get into longs, and then the real expansion happens and you get your new.
Yeah. Those are my least favorite things in the world.
Oh yeah.
Those are what Alex calls the Tallahassee rug pull.
Oh yeah, those absolutely suck.
Yeah.
But as of right now, as long as we're closing over 118,650, it's just a bad dream. Weekly is currently still positioned to the upside. The volatility is now fully reset on the weekly and at extreme lows, and we're going to be pointed up as long as we're closing over about $115,000. More confluence for that 115 area being retested. 5 day now firing off that volatility setup. We haven't quite closed yet. We have about a day and 10 hours left to go. 5 day is currently pointed to the downside. Interesting. It was pointed up before. Was that Blowfin that was pointed up on? Let me check. No, Blowfin is pointed down too. It was pointed up before, wasn't it? Pretty sure I saw it pointed up. I even have a screenshot of it pointed up. But it's currently pointed to the downside, and it will be pointed down as long as you're below 119,300. So if we do get this volatility confirmation in about 1 day, 10 hours, that's a 5 day setup to the downside. 5 day setup to the downside is roughly about 35 to 40%. So if we just take it somewhere from here, even 30% would be down to that 100 EMA on the 5 day at about $83,000. 35% brings us to like $76,000. 40% brings us to about that 2021 cycle high, 6970K. Very interesting. Bulls got 1 day and 10 hour. 2 days also positioned to the downside. Hopium is that volatility is contracting, and you're going to be pointed down as long as you're closing below 122.6. Daily is now also freshly positioned to the downside with volatility now at 0%, and you are going to be pointed down and about to break out of the bullish control zone as long as you're pointed below, as long as you're below 120,450. And 4 hours now freshly pointed down with a derp of death, and it's going to be pointed down as long as you're closing below 119,400. So the high time frames as of now are still bullish. You still have quarterly pointed up with volatility expanding. Monthly still has hidden divergences with volatility expanding with a monthly volatility setup. 2 week is very close to firing off a volatility setup. However, what is concerning is now on the lower time frames, your momentum is turning to the downside. You're making bearish divergences. On the 5-day, it's now flipped to the downside. Volatility is very close to expansion, and if that 5-day does expand with volatility above that 15% with momentum to the downside, you do have a very, very high chance of major nuke from there of double digits of over 30%. There is still some slight hopium considering that the 5-day has had 2 failures to the downside. That's very, very unwise to hope for a failure considering how low of a probability is for it to fail. And what all of the eyes are going to be on is that $111,000 area if we get it. But right now, the more probabilistic zone is retesting that $115,000 to $116,000 area. And what's going to be actionable to give you that move to that area is going to be any tick below about 116,190 or a 4-hour close below about I'd use this one here, 117,600. If you get either one of those two things, very, very likely you're going to get that move into very, very low 115s to possibly 114s to get that gap fill. If you don't get a very strong bounce at that 114s to 115s area though, and by strong bounce, I mean a bounce and then a close over about 118.7, you're very likely going to end up going to that $111,000 to $110,000 area. And if you get a daily close below about $110,000, I'm going to be more on the side that monthly setup is going to fail, it's going to fire off to the downside. 5-day setup is going to fire off to the downside, and the all-time high is already in, and the cycle top is already in. Right now, I am slightly more, to give you a number, 65% more to the bullish side of the macro, versus very, very slightly now starting to shift. But I'm still looking for all-time highs within maybe a couple of weeks after that small little pullback. And the invalidation is going to be either a tick below about, I'm not going to give you any crazy numbers, about 98,330, or a weekly close below about $105,000, 105,150. Either one of those two things, and I'm going to be very, very high probability on the chance that we're going to get those setups to the downside. Although I still think that they're going to happen to the upside after a small little pullback. That pullback could be 115, it could be 110, 111. Either way, I do think it's going to resolve to the upside.
Yeah, we're getting max euphoria on crypto, but we haven't gotten mass euphoria from everybody else. That's what we're waiting on. This is what our blow off top will be like. We need everyone to be calling you, hey man, can I put some money into this? What's gonna make me 100x? It's in Bitcoin.
Grandma needs to ask about putting her investment portfolio into Bitcoin.
Exactly. So we still need that. So I think this pullback reminds me of when Bitcoin was heading to all-time highs. To the 69,000, and he'd made it to 56, and from 56 did a dump ski to like 52 or 49, and people were like, it's over. And then he just went back up and did all-time highs, and then we know the story. It feels kind of like we're there. We're close. We're getting close, very close. The animal spirits are everywhere.
But in those bounces and those moves up back then, we would get insane moves on altcoins, which we are not getting nowadays.
Well, no,
like
because
Soul had like
there's no money.
3x or something like that.
Yeah, no. There's people still deny this, but there's no money. And now we're entering into a really fun part. Are you ready for this one that no one has talked about anything? I'll give you this.
Mm-hmm.
You know how everyone predicted tariffs was going to cause inflation?
Yeah.
Okay. And you know how inflation is nowhere to be found, the new one from the tariffs? All right. Do you know what that means?
What? Sorry, I'm retarded.
No, aside that these people are retarded and believe something that's impossible, forget about that. That means that the companies are they're swallowing the higher costs. So what does that turn into? Bad results,
lower
right?
Profits.
Exactly, lower profits. And then everything that we've just lived through, inflation, you're exactly now about to see the opposite side of that, where margins get completely destroyed, etc. So it's a completely different place. Now, this is interesting because beyond the investment world, it's making it to the real world. So my boys that sell cars, those are the ones that I ask the most. How's it going? What's going on, etc. So when they had the tariff thing going on, when they got the pull forward in demand, these guys were killing it. They're like, this is amazing, dude. Like, so many people are buying cars. Like, I think this is only going to go up. It's only going to go up. Went back last week to now. Yeah, dude, I don't know what's going on. There's no cars. I feel like no one's buying anymore. And that matches another thing. Every time this happened, when there was a shortage of new cars being bought, that means there's no trade-ins. So that means in the used car market goes lower, right? I mean, goes higher because there's less cars. Now you're about to enter into a brand new paradigm where there's no cars. Dealers are about to get stacked up with anything that they can buy at higher prices, and no one's going to come in and buy them. It's, I don't know why I find it funny, but it's just retarded that none of these people are thinking right. They think the same thing that just happened will happen again. Yeah. So we're getting into that phase, really, where there's nothing else they can do to prop up the numbers. So it's coinciding with everything we've been saying. It's moving along nicely, I think.
Fingers crossed. I'll get one of those DB12s on a lease for a pack of gum and $5.
You will. And the best thing about it too is when people tell you that the interest rates are going to be lowered and prices in houses are going to go up and in cars, they're going to collapse. Everyone that's strapped in those loans, like the old ones that are really good, are going to have a brilliant idea. Well, now that interest rates are coming down, I'm going to put my car for sale or my house for sale all at the same time, and just watch it. It's going to be glorious because literally no one's thinking about this. And you tell people and you get ridiculed. It's fucking amazing. Lots of opportunities. So you'll be able to get your DB12. Belen and I were talking about it yesterday as we drove by the Aston dealership.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah. She was like, because I was telling her I love the Vanquish. She was saying that when are we going to get another one? I was like, the moment that Ivan calls us with the, hey, do you want to pay $1,000 a month to get a $400,000 car? That's when we're going to get it. She's like, what needs to happen? I was like, just wait, just a little. We're almost there. We need 6 months for this to really hit everyone in the face. So we're getting there. We're getting there, boys. I'm happy. Send you boys what's next. Take two and another one that I've never seen in my life, and then we'll go from there. Perfect. Thank you. All right. Este fin de semana estábamos viendo Bitcoin, damas y caballeros, portándose muy coqueto, yéndose entre este rango sabroso de 120 a 116 y no deja a nadie colocarse ni en long ni en short. Y este rango es importante, ¿eh? Este número, justamente donde está esta línea meme, y lo estamos viendo en la diaria. La razón por la que es importante es simplemente por la historia que cuenta. Fue resistencia, lo puedes romper con un cierre un poco arriba, tienes esta vela topera e instantáneamente te baja. Recuerda que yo quiero 3 cierres por encima para contarlo como va a haber un siguiente movimiento en esa dirección. Tienes esta vela que cae, luego tienes la siguiente que no logra cerrar por encima, te dice que sí, pero no. Una vez más, esta vela que es un doji, esta vela es completamente un doji, eso quiere decir que la parte en medio es la gorda y la parte alta y la de abajo es igual de tamaño casi, y eso te dice indecisión, cerró por encima de la línea, pero instantáneamente el siguiente doji te la tiró. Y luego de acá intentaste regresar, hasta que regresaste con un velazo, pero instantáneamente vuelves a caer. Esta zona, y no se equivoquen, en los 118,950. Y lo pueden todos ustedes poner en su tabla acá. Simplemente agarren el máximo de esta y júntenlo con básicamente esta vela y el cuerpo de esta. Esto va a ser el punto donde quieres tener tus cierres fuertes por encima de. Y quieres tener 3. No hemos podido tener más de 2 y este fue un en medio. Este fue un cierre. Este fue 1 y este fue 1. No has tenido más de 2 seguidos. Queremos 3 cierres por encima de esto en la diaria. O, voy a ponerlo en la semanal, ¿qué te parecería por encima en la semanal? Y como puedes ver, tenemos un doji también semanal con volatilidad contrayendo. Así que vamos a empezar este análisis porque la pregunta es, ¿cripto va a continuar subiendo o ya va a caer? ¿No? Y en este momento está yendo literalmente de acuerdo al plan, lo que hemos platicado todo el tiempo. Vamos a ese blow off top. Todavía creemos que no hemos visto el tope que se va a dar. Y ese tope podría ser histórico, pero también podría ser rápido. Y me refiero histórico de lo potente que se va a ir para arriba, pero también va a ser muy rápido, va a hacer que todo el mundo se se meta, tu abuela te hable, porque ahorita ya tenemos la euforia. Es importante hablar de cómo el mercado se mueve. Tenemos ya la euforia de todo el mundo donde te dicen que no puede bajar, creen que va a haber alt season. Cabrones, estoy yo metido en putos NFTs y todo esto. Compré, les he dicho, ¿no? Cada que todo el mundo me dice que los NFTs van a cero, compro y los vendo justo en este tipo de temporaditas. Y señores, estoy hablando de comprar un NFT de $50 y venderlo por 100, ¿ok? Simplemente porque me divierte un chingo, pero también me cuenta del mercado y estoy viendo cómo se comporta la gente. La cantidad de gente que regresó a Discord solamente pensando que esto es alt season, están todos como locos, con solamente literalmente mis NFTs de $50 yéndose a 100 o mis NFTs de 200 yéndose a 400 o algo así. Básicamente te cuenta la historia completa. No existe esa liquidez como existió en el 2021. Ese alt season que todo el mundo está esperando va ligado con la economía, simplemente no lo hay. Puedes tener este tipo de movimientos como los que hemos visto, pero no lo hay. Así que vamos a analizar Bitcoin. Bitcoin de nuevo, todavía en nuestra opinión tiene para arriba, pero tenemos que ver varias cosas antes de ello. Vamos a empezar en la trimestral y este es el índice de Bitcoin para todos ustedes. Como siempre, lo primero que vemos es temporalidades altas. Estamos viendo todas las temporalidades altas, semanal, 2 semanas, tal vez no la semanal, ahorita checamos otra vez, pero 2 semanas, mensual, trimestral, etcétera, muy alcistas, por encima de todos nuestros promedios como se debe, altos, altos, más altos, bajos, más altos en toda la tabla y además los cierres más altos en toda la historia. Acá fue 107 y este potencialmente en 117, $10,000 por encima. Todavía faltan 2 meses y 8 días para cerrar. No nos emocionemos. Habíamos tenido esta expansión de volatilidad. Recuerden que volatilidad es la línea de colores, la línea blanca es el promedio, arriba es 100%, cuando ven estos palos naranjas es que está al 100%, acá abajo es 0% y esta línea meme la ponemos nosotros. Lo que nosotros queremos ver es volatilidad expandir por encima del promedio, pero idealmente por debajo del 15%, que es donde está la línea meme, pero simplemente no se da. Este fue el punto más bajo de volatilidad en la tabla de toda la historia y su expansión comenzó acá. Esa expansión se dio y empujó este movimiento a la alza. Ahora, la expansión de volatilidad, podríamos decir, está algo comprometida. Vamos a mantener un ojo acá. Recuerda que tenemos que cerrar esto para poder confirmar, así que todavía falta tiempo. Con eso dicho, les voy a traer el HPDR rápido para que lo puedan ver también de cerca. No sé si algo está mal en mi HPDR, pero sigue abriendo del culo. Segundo. Ok. En nuestro HPDR hemos tocado la media casi todas estas ocasiones, menos con esta vela, y ahorita idealmente estamos buscando eso. Nuestra media está en los $164,000 por hora. La parte baja de la zona azul está en $80,000. Cualquier movimiento agresivo con expansión de volatilidad te va a llevar a cualquiera de estos dos números. Si te das cuenta, es más o menos un múltiplo, porque 8 y 8, 16, ¿no? Así que estás justo en medio de los dos. Después de romper los 164, 300 sería lo que nos sugiere la tabla, pero está cabrón. Solo hemos tocado esa parte alta acá en octubre del 2021. No sé si llevamos esa fuerza o también en el octubre del 2017. Se podrá repetir una vez más. Esto no fue en realidad octubre del 2021. Déjame lo veo acá. Bueno, de acuerdo a cómo sale esta tabla, sí. Acuérdense que fue en noviembre, me parece que fue noviembre 21 del 21. Esto sería la vela de octubre, la siguiente, o sería esta la vela de octubre, espérenme, es julio. No, ok. Esta vela no, pero la siguiente debería ser la que pueda tocar acá o hasta acá arriba, ¿no? Si no es que nos vamos a ir idéntico a lo del pasado, pero no podemos analizar así. Mensual habíamos tenido una expansión de volatilidad, pero hemos visto por acá, no sé qué línea era esa. Esta expansión de volatilidad continúa, pero se puede echar para atrás en cualquier momento. Esta expansión de volatilidad siempre ha pegado a la alza en la mensual y esperemos que esta no sea la primera que no. Tenemos nuestra media justamente en los 145, está aquí arriba, y todavía faltan, ¿cuántos días para cerrar esta? 8 días y 10 horas para cerrar esta vela. De no irnos a viajar por ahí, vamos a tener estos 102,000 y los 98,150. Esta va a ser una zona muy importante para nosotros, donde está tu promedio del 9 mensual, los 98, porque si llegas a tener de la nada y no tienes un nuevo máximo más que los que ya hayamos hecho, tienes cualquier wicazo aquí abajo de esos 98, eso para nosotros nos indicaría que ya vimos el tope. Así que atentos, esa sería nuestra señal, nuestra batiseñal para salirnos. 2 semanas habíamos tenido expansión en lo que estaba subiendo el precio, pero se está regresando. Lo pueden ver acá, está en 15.87%. Esto ayer yo lo estaba checando y estaba expandiendo junto con las velas en lo que estaba subiendo, igual que en Solana, y después se echó para atrás. Así que por eso es importante tener los cierres. ¿Cuánto falta para cerrar esta tabla? Faltan 11 días y 10 semanas. Estamos por encima de la media, lo que nos favorece a ir a la parte alta de la zona azul, que una vez más coincide con la media en la trimestral de $146,000. Esto es la de 2 semanas. Y de poder romper esa media, deberíamos de ir al mínimo al 50% en 160 o hasta los 199,000, que es el 61.8%. Semanal, tenemos también volatilidad contrayendo, como en la de 2 semanas, mensual. Entonces estamos ahí listos para un super setup. Puedes ver acá la de 2 semanas preparándolo. Puedes ver acá la mensual también. En la semanal estamos preparando ese setup. Nos falta que venga el promedio para acá y tener esa expansión. Ahora, en la semanal estamos viendo un poco de lo mismo. Esta estructura alcista con esta vela topera, estamos por encima de la media está en los 113,680 y esta va a ser una zona importante en tu tabla. ¿Quieres ver en tu semanal si te va a aguantar la media si es que se llega a caer el precio, o tu promedio del 9 en la semanal en los 110? De perder esa zona, vas a tener chances de ir a los 102. Si vas a los 102 y rompes los 102 y caes a 98 y por debajo de 98, esto se acabó. Ahí es donde nosotros diríamos que estamos mal. Pero por ahora continuamos nosotros buscando estos 135 en la parte alta de la zona azul y de ahí los 155 en el 61.8%. Vamos a la de 5 días. 5 días, continuamos esta búsqueda de la parte alta de la zona azul. Nuestra media justamente está en los 110,200, que coincide un poco con nuestra semanal. Tenemos expansión de volatilidad justamente acá y queremos confirmar esta expansión de volatilidad en 1 día y 10 horas. Con tener este cierre básicamente en 2 días, vamos a tener más probabilidad de poder dar continuación y buscar este 61.8% en los 140. Pero primero, la parte alta de la zona azul con un alto histórico en los 124,778. Vamos a la de 3 días. En la de 3 días, ahí el buen Farhan me enseñó algo chido que les podría interesar, brothers. Un hombro, cabeza, hombro. Y este hombro, cabeza, hombro es invertido y esto debería ser la primera parte del movimiento. Si les quito el HPDR para que lo vean, la parte alta es 122, el 61.8%, 134. Si les quito esto, van a poder ver, ¿no? Hombro, cabeza, hombro y la reventada. Ahora, ¿dónde esta estructura se marca? Aquí. O sea, literalmente este fue tu breakout, ¿no? ¿Y cómo lo vamos a medir? De la parte más baja de acá hacia acá, en línea recta, a la línea, y después donde haya roto a la alza. Y eso nos da un objetivo de $146,000. Esos $146,000 son los mismos que nos aparecen en diferentes temporalidades. Me parece que es la media trimestral. Un segundo. Un segundite. La media trimestral está un poco más arriba. Mensual. Ahí está, es la media mensual, tal cual, al punto, lo pueden ver acá. O sea, mínimo vamos a ver esa media mensual. Ahora, ¿ese va a ser el final del movimiento? No estoy diciendo eso. Estoy diciendo que ese es el objetivo del movimiento que estamos presenciando en este momento. De ahí me voy a ir a la de 2 semanas, ver dónde me pone esto en el índice, en la parte alta de la zona azul, lo pueden ver acá en los 146. Aquí es donde empieza a encontrar esas deliciosas confluencias que te dicen que esto va a continuar. Y de nuevo, sobre todo viendo el ánimo de la gente en este momento, que creen que el mercado no puede bajar, etcétera, muy bien, es justamente donde queríamos llegar y ahora solo nos falta el FOMO de los de afuera para poder llegar a la euforia total en esto y empezar a ver nuestros nuestros planes continuar, porque continúan, ¿no? Seguimos buscando ese tope. Por ahora estamos cayendo por debajo de la media en los 119,970. Tenemos más probabilidades de ir a la parte baja si perdemos el promedio del 9. El promedio del 9 está en los 118,280. Estamos por debajo por $100. Eso nos daría más probabilidades de venir a los 116,288. Esta zona debería aguantar. Si no te aguantan los 116, vas muy probablemente a ver los 113 a los 110. Y si esa zona no aguanta, 102. Si 102 no aguanta, 98, y eso querría decir que es el final del rally y que lo que creíamos que todavía iba a pasar ya no pasó. Y bueno, sí pasó, pero acá y no fue un evento tan explosivo. Aunque, una vez más, le damos 65 a 70% de probabilidades más a la alza que a la baja para dar esa continuación. Pero por ahora Bitcoin tiene cara de que está consolidando. Hay oportunidades de entrada, sea ahorita por encima de los 118,000, que fue justo lo que nos dio esta vela, hasta acá en los 117,200. Ese puede haber sido tu entrada perfecta. O tal vez va a ser los 116, tal vez los 113,300 o tal vez los 110, 111. Esa sería la última zona a aguantar para esos longs. Por debajo de eso se empieza a comprometer todo y se empieza a poner más difícil la cosa. Pero por ahora, Bitcoin continúa con muchísima fuerza. Simplemente, literalmente estamos acá esperando. Obviamente, toda la gente que se metió en long quieren sacarla, toda la gente que se mete en corto te sacan. Y eso es antes normalmente un movimiento agresivo. Para mí es muy importante esta línea. Justamente acá, en los 118,967. Si podemos empezar a cerrar por encima de ella, vamos a tener ese movimiento a los 146, y de no poder lograrlo, tal vez este fue nuestro tope, que instantáneamente, por cierto, fue validado como vela de tope, pero continuamos a la derecha. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Interesante. Y también el promedio del 9, véanlo, nos está rechazando. En temporalidades bajas, Bitcoin se ve bajista. En temporalidades altas, Bitcoin se ve alcista. En temporalidades medias, Bitcoin se ve más alcista que bajista. Y en temporalidades cortas, como la de 5 días, podría jugárnosla al revés, pero todavía le damos más preferencia alcista. Cuando volteamos a ver la dominancia de Bitcoin para esa deliciosa alt season que todo el mundo está buscando, quiero simplemente poner contexto a todo esto, ponerla mensual. Y una vez más, que estamos agarrando el promedio del 9, estamos en una tendencia alcista. Después de un alto viene un bajo más alto. Este es un bajo más alto que también está apoyado justamente acá, donde pueden ver que hay bastante soporte en el 60%, y está rebotando justamente por encima del promedio del 9. Faltan 8 días y 9 horas para cerrar esta vela. La dominancia de Bitcoin continúa siendo alcista, simplemente está haciendo un bajo más alto. Y eso es lo que lo dio a toda esta gente la idea de que cripto ya está entrando en un alt season por alguna razón. Pero efectivamente no. Además de que tienes un cruce plateado mensual a la alza, y normalmente, ¿cuál es la oportunidad grande para comprar algo cuando vemos uno de estos cruces plateados a la alza? Cuando tocan el promedio del 9, ahí es cuando quieres básicamente apostarle, si es que la pudieras comprar, que creo que se puede en Binance, y eso te llevaría más para arriba y continuar esta dominancia de Bitcoin en el rally. Más allá de eso, Tether Dominance continúa siendo bajista, continúa en modo de breakdown. Lo pueden ver, estamos cayendo en este canal. Nuestro siguiente objetivo va a ser esta parte baja en los 378. Y de poder romper los 378 nos va a llevar muy probablemente a nuestro promedio del 100, donde por fin este promedio del 100 nos dé ese rebote buscado y de continuación a la alza. Esto sería nuestro blow off top. Esto sería cuando Bitcoin hace 140, 150, 300 mil dólares, lo que tú quieras. Sería este movimiento, y después el rebote sería ya la baja de mercado. También interesante, el ciclo de 4 años, para todos ustedes, los que sean fanáticos del ciclo de 4 años, ¿qué pasó hace 4 años? Lo que está pasando ahorita. ¿Y qué pasó el año después? Bueno, este mismo año, a finales del año, empezó la caída. Así que si crees en el ciclo de 4 años, no te dejes engañar, esto parece ser igualito. And now, boys, the 4-year cycle. What happened exactly 4 years ago in this time? We had the Bitcoin top in 2021, and then by the end of the year, it went down, right? That's a 4-year cycle.
Yeah.
So if we still in the 4-year cycle, we should see kind of that, right?
Yeah, but supposedly the idea is now the super cycle, and we will go up only forever. And never
Of
get
course.
another bear
Yeah,
market.
yeah, yeah. No, no, no. Of course. I'm just being completely ridiculous for just proposing this. So I'm just saying, if there were people that believe in the 4-year cycle, which by the way, now indeed they're turning into super cyclists, then they should know that next year should be terrible for crypto, just based on the 4-year cycle, not for anything else. That's it. All right. Let's get on to the next bullshit. What is it, Alex? What do you got?
Take two.
Oh, yeah.
Take those.
Take two. Yeah, I haven't looked at this one in a minute. Let me see. Is it sharing? Perfect. So, we were watching essentially the weekly EMA 9 to just kind of hold as support. And so far that worked out. We went to the top side of our resistance. And so now what we have is, potentially a major deviation here. You want to be watching, if you're a take two bull, essentially, to watch the weekly EMA 9. The reaction here will be super key. You want to see this get reclaimed. I mean, you've seen this get lost. It goes to the 21 and then springs and then holds. And once it holds the weekly 9, it just slowly moves up. Let's see if we have any kind of silver crosses here. I mean, yeah, you have a weekly silver cross. That's, been playing out. And so technically, yeah, the 21 would be the next objective if you stay under the EMA 9 on the weekly. But that, again, isn't a death sentence per se. You want to be gauging essentially $223 very carefully, specifically when you do have a volatility setup and you've freshly lost the weekly median here. You can see, similar to the weekly 9, the weekly median's been honestly holding pretty solid. Wasn't until you got below it where you started to really move down to the bottom side of the range. And again, that just gives you confidence that maybe the weekly is going to move towards the EMA 21, closer to the $223 region. Now, the monthly isn't a breakout, so it will be very crucial to kind of see the reaction around here. And I think it will be wise to kind of gauge that weekly 9 in confluence with the monthly 38.2%. We very easily can come down, get a spring here, and then move up. But again, that still means that we're going to get some kind of pullback around here. Let's see how far that is. That's, maybe 2% pullback before a bounce. And then that bounce will either reject the weekly 9, what was support, needs to be flipped into resistance. You lost it here and so far rejected it. So it is resistance so far. Or you're going to reclaim it, and that'll give you an easy long play. 2 week as well. I mean, you see the 2 week 9 is right where the 21 is on the weekly. Let's go to the 12-hour now. Yeah, so 12-hour is interesting because you are in a breakdown. You are gearing up for potentially a silver cross. You see the 12-hour 9 has crossed the 21. And now the 12-hour 9 has moved directly where the 38.2% is the bottom side of the range, the breakdown range. So you should be gauging this as bearish as long as you're under that 12-hour EMA 9. That should just keep grinding out lower highs and moving us towards the EMA 100. So as long as you're under that 34, the objective will be that EMA 100. And that is sitting at, $223. So then again, we can go to our weekly chart and say, well, that $223 keeps coming up. You see that on the 38.2%, the EMA 21, which is technically the next target. But then also, you see that on the daily. And you also have the daily EMA 100 right there. Let's see the last reactions where this actually hit the daily EMA 100. So here you had a pretty aggressive dump, actually. This moved down, 12%. Not really losing the daily EMA 100, and even more so, holding it as support before going up. You can see here, really the bottom was solidified once you got above the EMA 100 and the SMA 200. You can see here, once you got above that, that's kind of when the rally started. Confirmation of that was just holding that. Bullish momentum does just start brewing as long as you do hold above an EMA 100. When it's slapped on like a daily, it just makes it very strong. And on the flip side, if you lose it, It's generally not a good sign, and you'd want to expand down from that. And so when we see the daily EMA 100 mixed in with the weekly EMA 21, it tells me that this spot is definitely the zone you want to be gauging if, let's say, we do get a nice move down to that $223 region. So, you know, that's kind of all I can see on this chart. You hit resistance. It's now just a big question of does the support hold? If not, then, you know, we can definitely make a case for lower. Lower for me would be around that $213. That's just the meme line support. You were seeing that area reject solidly in this range. You'd rally up, reject, and then come to the bottom side of this range at 195. So that would be the extremity low for me on this chart, 195. You start losing that, that's where, you know, this whole thing starts really not becoming good. You start breaking major levels, and then the next objective potentially could be all the way down to like 170. So, I mean, in summary, you're kind of just waiting and watching specifically this range to keep playing out. You can use the weekly, though, to gauge the monthly. I do think if the weekly starts losing that $223 region, yeah, you'll just make an easy case to go down to the monthly 9. There needs to absolutely hold. If it doesn't, yeah, you're going to start seeing a lot lower. And that's just, you know, this chart's been really respecting the EMAs. There's no reason to overcomplicate it. You know, the EMA 9 should hold, and that is now lined up directly with what was major resistance. So that just tells you if you know, are more looking for a conservative play, you can always just play the monthly 9, and that should just grind out some kind of monthly higher low because you have a higher high. So this chart can definitely afford some deeper pullback if, let's say, that weekly doesn't hold. So yeah, that's all I have on this chart, and yeah, we'll watch to see what, you know, August brings, because this is technically still in a monthly breakout, and we haven't seen this. This was the last monthly breakout we had, right in this region. You broke out, you retested, and granted, you did go under the 38.2%. Here you went pretty under it, but again, you just never lost that, and then that actually led the breakout. From that point, let's see, 26%. So, you know, as long as you're going to hold around this region, this should be somewhat looked at as a bounce zone. So just keep watching that weekly 21 and watch the daily EMA 100, because you'll be able to quickly know if like the EMA 100 on the daily gets lost and then the EMA 21 gets lost. That, yeah, it's most likely is going to start coming down to that 213, where that absolutely has to hold. If not, yeah, we're going to see a lot lower, specifically around 180. So yeah, that's all I have on take 2.
Thank you. And then after take 2, there is, one second, there's a lot of I can't hear you. QBTS.
QBTS, cool.
Something to do with LGBTQYZ. So we'll see. We'll see if that's going up or down.
We'll see.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Estamos viendo Take-Two, la empresa de software que hace videojuegos, básicamente, Grand Theft Auto, etcétera. Estamos viendo en un gráfico mensual. Este es uno de los gráficos más potentes de toda la historia. Los voy a poner en una no. La trimestral lo hemos visto 1000 veces. La impresionante es la de 6 meses. Justamente, vean esto. Ahora sí que esto salió en 1997. Justamente aquí abajo, y estaba cotizando en $5 y estamos en 229 en este momento. Promedio del 9, promedio del 21, etcétera. Todo muy saludablemente por encima de, bastante bien, honestamente. Y después de hacer un máximo, tienes que hacer un mínimo, y después de un mínimo va a ser otro máximo. Así que por ahora estamos esperando justamente eso. Voy a poner el HPDR con esto a ver cómo se ve. En esto, y tenemos, vamos a ver las sorpresillas o no sorpresillas. Justamente, yo les firmé que íbamos a llegar acá a los 339, es lo que dice ahí. Muy huevudo, Alejandro, ¿quién te viera? Básicamente podríamos esperar en esta vela, que todavía le faltan básicamente 5 meses y 10 días, que es una vela de 6 meses, podríamos regresar a esta zona en los 190, encontrar dónde rebotar y continuar a la alza para encontrar ese mínimo que estamos buscando antes del siguiente movimiento a la alza. Vamos a la de 3 meses. 3 meses tenemos expansión de volatilidad ante esta subidotototota, lo puedes ver acá. Y esta expansión de volatilidad nos llevó aquí arriba. Ahora, déjame quito este cuadrito. En lo que estamos aquí, tenemos nuestra media justamente en los 223 en la trimestral y eso debería aguantar. El peor escenario sería nuestro promedio del 9, justamente acá en los 180 para regresar a esa media. Pero por ahora, esta media no nos dice nada que no deba de aguantar o tal vez sea perforada rápidamente como acá para una toma de liquidez o como esta antes de continuar su camino a la alza. Siguiente objetivo acá, en la parte alta de la zona azul, son 263, estamos en 229. Mensual. También tienes expansión de volatilidad ante este subidongo después de varios periodos de volatilidad nula, muy a la jamás. Y ahora estamos justamente siendo rechazados por el 61.8%, cayendo a la parte, a la zona azul. En esta zona azul, siguiente objetivo va a ser el promedio del 9, que se va a encontrar 2.12, casi con esta línea meme 2.14. Y esta línea meme es importante, ahorita van a ver por qué. Y una vez más, estos 202 nos vuelven a aparecer en la media. 2 semanas estamos por debajo de la media. No habíamos estado por debajo de la media desde aquí atrás, en el 2024, en octubre del 2024, antes de explotar. Entonces, esto me dice que queremos estar por encima de los 240. Arriba de 240 vamos a tener ese movimiento agresivo a la alza a los 260 y hasta los 270. Ok, ahí está, ahí lo tienes. Y esto, la parte baja de la zona azul, está justamente donde está esta línea meme. Lo que no me sorprendería sería una toma de liquidez hasta acá, en los 198, siempre y cuando no se lleve este mínimo, estamos del otro lado. Semanal también, 1, y esta sería nuestra segunda semana por debajo de nuestro promedio, el 9. En la semanal tenemos volatilidad creando un setup, así que se está preparando el punto bajo por acá. Ahora también tenemos que esperar que el promedio se dé. Y por ahora estamos por debajo del promedio del 9. Queremos romper estos 233 y de ahí los 240 una vez más. Aquí ya en los 240 y esto consolida un poco más lo que veíamos en la de 2 semanas. Rompiendo los 240 vas a 250 y de ahí a los 265. Y la diaria, ¿cómo ves? Tuviste el breakdown. La diaria está expandiendo ante esta caída. Interesante. Y vamos a ver si continúa, porque esta es la primera expansión a la baja que hemos visto por acá. Sí, efectivamente. Y si esto continúa, esto se puede tranquilamente detener acá en los 223, que es el promedio del 100. Lo tocamos hace cuánto. En abril, no fue hace mucho. O el peor escenario, el SMA 200, que no lo hemos tocado en bastante rato, desde octubre del 24, casi un año. Podrías venir tranquilamente a retestear esto y esperaría, simplemente porque estás viendo, me quito esto. Simplemente porque estás viendo esto, te está diciendo que una corrección podría, bueno, lo vimos desde acá arriba, interesante, que esta corrección podría detenerse por acá. Ahora, si lo vemos bien, esto en la semanal, que era la mensual, esta es mi vista favorita de Take Two, la mensual, puedes definitivamente regresar a esta zona ¿cómo se llama? Retestear. ¿Por qué? Esto fue resistencia. Esto fue resistencia hasta que lo rompiste. Y normalmente, ¿qué buscamos? Zona de breakout. ¿Cuál es la zona de breakout? Esta línea meme. Esa línea meme está justamente en los 212. Pero podrías tener un evento donde venga hasta los 198 más o menos por acá y que esto aguante por acá en los 198 hasta los 188. De preferencia no te quieres llevar este mínimo, pero en realidad es este en los 177. El primero sería los 189. Todo esto sería para una oportunidad para acumular antes de la siguiente pata para arriba de esto. Hasta que se rompa justamente la línea donde estábamos. Un segundo. 180. Rompes los 180 y viste el tope acá y eso te va a llevar mucho más para abajo. Es así de fácil. Eres alcista en Take Two, es fácil. Lo único que tienes que hacer es aguantar esta zona. Nos gustaría los 212, pero más o menos los 198. 198 deberían de aguantar y no llevarte los 188. Te llevas los 188 para abajo y ahí es donde empezaría a preocuparme. Y si te llevas los 177, olvídalo. Ahí ya viste el tope de esto. Pero por ahora continúa siendo más alcista que bajista. En temporalidades más cortas es más bajista que alcista, pero eso puede ser simplemente una corrección. Y ahí lo tienen. Eso es Take Two. Mr. Farhands, LBHVGY. What is it?
Share my screen. ICHL.
No, it
Never heard of
was
this before.
One second. It was
LCHL.
LCHL.
I always have issues with I and L's.
Same.
There's nothing showing up on TradingView.
Let's try I.
Yeah, maybe it was I then.
Because maybe it's my problem. Ichi.
Yeah, Ichi shows up. Is it
Ichi
I am Moi
Tangrapa.
Ichi.
It's Ichi. Ichi my bolas. Is very, very nice. Hopefully it's this.
Okay, let's start with the quarterly on this. Surprisingly, there's enough data to populate the HPDR. So right now we are in a very possible high probability area for a local bottom, only if we can maintain this 38.2%. If we start to lose this 38.2% on a closing basis, what we're very likely going to get is another one of these taps all the way down to the 61.8% right here. 61.8%, and actually this thing likes to go to the 100% because it did it right over here and it did it right over here. I just don't like to call targets to the 100% because of how extreme they are. Let's see if we can get any fibs to line up with that area. Very close to that 78.6. Very interesting. That would be that 38.2%. If you can get a closure over the 38.2%, you're very likely going to see a very significant bounce from here. And it's this thing likes to go to the 100%. I'm not going to call the 100%, but even a move to the 38.2% is going to be a very, very significant move from here. That's more than a 100% move from where we are right now. That's like exactly 100%. See, there's any divergences forming? Yep, there's a hidden bullish divergence forming as well that supports that idea. But to confirm this hidden bullish divergence, you would have to get a close over about $12.50, which is right around your cluster of EMAs here. Your median is slightly higher than that area though. Let's see how many drives. It'd be 1, 2. That would be 4 drives of hidden bullish divergence if you can confirm it, however. Monthly is now also supporting the idea of a bounce, with momentum starting to flip back up, getting back over the moving average. Volatility, however, is contracting, so the idea should be that you would get a lower high from this bounce, and the lower high can take you anywhere up to this 38.2%, which you are very close to a silver cross. You haven't confirmed it yet. This is going to be maybe 2 more closures, maybe 3 max, where the silver cross is going to confirm, and each time, each candle closure that passes, this 9 EMA is going to slowly move lower and lower. Right now, it sits at that bottom 38.2%. So if you do get that bearish retest within this next 7 days, that would be around that 38.2% of that 9 EMA. On this next candle closure, this 9 EMA is very likely going to come down to where this 50% is. Then the next one's going to come down to the 61.8% and ever so on. And that's going to be your bearish retest target for that silver cross to the downside. So right now, you do have a monthly downtrend, and it's a pretty heavy downtrend. Since after you took out this area here on a closing basis, your next magnet for price action is going to be somewhere around this $8 zone. It's more of a when rather than an if. You don't have enough data for yellow on the jewel. 2-week is also at the giving the same idea of at the very least a local bottom here. Momentum has flipped back up. We've started to get a reclaim of our 200 SMA. And we're using it as support right now. So from that 200 SMA, what I'd like to see is a close over this 38.2%, which we are still protecting. And if we can get it to close over that 38.2%, that's what gives us our move into that $12 zone. Where if you can get a close over about $12.50, then we should see a very nice bounce into the 20s. Right now, the jewel is also giving us a bicycle within the bearish control zone also, and the jewel is putting in hidden bullish divergence by taking out those previous lows. As long as we are closing above about $7.30, that hidden bullish divergence will be possible. Weekly is also positioned to the upside right now, getting very close to getting into the bullish control zone. But just like we have possible hidden bullish divergences on the higher time frames, weekly has possible hidden bearish divergence because we've taken out these highs on momentum and we're making a significantly lower high. And how many drives of hidden bearish divergence are we forming right now? 1, 2, 3, 4. Same amount of drives as we have of the hidden bullish divergence on the high time frames. But the bearish one is a lot easier to confirm because we would have to make a local top. And to make a local top, you got to close below $10.30. That's going to give you a target of that bottom 38.2% at a minimum, right around $9.20. But more likely, we're going to be tapping that $8 zone to be testing those previous major lows. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a bounce in that zone, but I do eventually expect that area to fail. Right now, what also goes with the idea of a bounce in the short term is that the jewel is giving you a very powerful God mode buy signal right now, which we have seen a decent bounce from here of about double digits. Let's see how much this move usually produces. Put it right over there, that God mode signal. Have a little sip of water real quick while I'm putting these lines. This was about 21%. %, still double digits. What does this company do? Consumer non-durables, food.
And it says major
28%.
diversified.
I don't even know what that means.
Me either.
So as of now, we've seen a move of about 6%. The minimum move we've seen was about 10%. So if we take that 10%, brings us to about $11. So let's see what that $12.50 area would be. Be roughly 23%. Very interesting because we saw a lot of moves in that low 20% area. And we'd still technically be bearish as long as we're below that 200 SMA on the weekly, which is at $13. So we could go all the way up to $13 for a bearish retest of that 200 SMA, fail to close above 1250, and just confirm all of our hidden bearish divergences. That's what's likely going to happen based off of the monthly trend. 5 days also still positioned for a bounce from higher from here, with momentum very close to getting into the bullish control zone. Volatility is not just about to get into an expansion phase from extreme lows, and 5-day jewel also has that God mode signal. But just like the weekly, 5-day is now also forming many drives of hidden bearish divergence. And what's more likely to confirm in a monthly downtrend is the hidden bearish divergence. 2-day is now starting to position to the downside. And we would have to assume that the local top is in as long as we are below this 2-day 21 EMA and this median. Start to get a closure above there, then we can see a bounce higher. Right now, is it putting in possible divergences? Let's see. This is a close of $10.40, $10.40. Not really. If we had a slightly higher low, then we would have a possibility of some hidden bullish divergence here. But we have the exact same closes. I have not really seen that happen very much before. The jewel is now starting to lose its buy signal too, starting to shift a little bit away from being medium to short-term bullish. There is some hopium because you do have that pink still crossing above the yellow. So if we are going to be bullish, what you would see on the jewel is come back down somewhere around this edge of this bearish control zone and flip up from there. That would be a move to the bottom 38.2%, right around $10. And if you can hold $10, that would put in the hidden bullish divergence, taking this up to about $12.50 to $13. Very big if. because you've already tested this area a lot of times. Daily also starting to position to the downside, getting right to the reset zone. We are at the daily median right now. We are rejecting it, which is about $10.54. If you do close the daily as a rejection of the median, which where is the? Why does it say what the time to close? Is it closed already? I don't know how this what this thing is.
Yeah, it could be.
Maybe.
Market closed.
Yeah, because it's on a different market. It's not the New York Stock Exchange or
I
something.
see. Yes. So we did close as a projection of the median. So based off of this closure, I would be looking for another, at the very least, we tested this bottom 38.2%, right around that $10.30 area. And if you were to make this HPDR disappear and just draw like a little meme line here with how many times this area has been tested, you'll have an idea of how weak this place is right now. This was a major resistance after we lost it, rejected several times. Now we've tested it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but tested for a 7th time. How many times is it going to hold before it breaks? Right now, the monthly trend is to the downside. The higher probability bet is that it's going to break.
Yeah, to the downside, right?
Yeah. And that the confirmation for our hidden bearish divergence is $10.30, which is exactly our target. The stars and the planets are all aligning. Right now, the 4 hour is also giving you a massive rejection of that 100 EMA, putting in a shooting star. You're closed below the median, gives you targets of somewhere around that same $10.30 zone. And if you close below there, even on a 4 hour basis, that's going to bleed into your higher time frames, giving you your hidden bearish divergences on your 5-day, your weekly, your 2-week. I don't know how many more divergences you need. Let's go to the RSI. There's a bearish divergence on the monthly RSI. It's already confirmed. And that would give you a target of the bearish control zone, which right now sits at about $5.30.
Mm-hmm.
You are currently getting volatility expansion. Very likely this volatility is going to contraction. Very likely this volatility is going to start expanding if you get a monthly close below $9.40. Right now, the RSI says the critical zone target is impossible. Monthly, nothing. 2-week does have some regular bullish divergence, which is your hopium. That divergence will be active as long as you're closing above about $10.20. Excuse me. And right now, your next target on that divergence, as long as you can get a close over about $10.80, would be your the edge of the bearish control zone. Right now, that's about $11.77, not that much higher, and still would not confirm your higher term hidden bullish divergences.
Well, that'll be a bearish retest of the breakdown zone. I'll show you once you're done.
Weekly also has 3 drives of hidden regular bullish divergence. I believe it's the same number for invalidation, about $10.20. And your next target is going to be the simple moving average, and that number is about pretty close to $11. Nothing there. 3-day also has bullish divergence. Same invalidation, 10.20 to 10.30. Daily also has bullish divergence, looking very weak, however. 10, same, about 10.30 to invalidate it. Right now, daily has many periods of 0% volatility. So this is the zone where it's either going to get a massive pump to about $12 to $13, or it's going to get a breakdown to like low 9s to high 8s. And I'm on this camp at probably the breakdown. 4 hour hidden bullish divergence now invalidated. Everything's kind of lining up for the breakdown. Now let's check the momentum. It'll be funny if this thing opens on a massive gap up, invalidating all of the bearishness. That's what I hate about stocks. You'll have a huge bearish setup on its close, and then it'll open on a huge gap up, and all of your divergences have been invalidated.
Yep.
And they say the crypto market is rigged.
Whatever the fuck this is.
quarterly position very heavily to the downside. You've now lost the bullish control zone and it's pointed down as long as you're below 1719. And the DMI has now been flipped red too. So basically everyone is trying to get out of this thing. There's more sellers than buyers by a very large margin when the DMI starts flipping red. When we flipped red the last time, it was right in this zone here. And how much of a move down did we get after flipping red? Another 27%. And then we just made a lower high. Monthly is currently flipped to the upside, which does give you some hopium for at the very least short-term local bottom here. And we are going to be flipped up as long as you're above $9.87. But the reason why it doesn't really matter that much is because you're still heavily in bearish control. You could just take it. The bears could just put in a retest right at the edge of this bearish control zone. That would be a retest of your 11, maybe $12 zone, and then you just break down again. And then that would give the bears more fuel for more hidden bearish divergences. 2-week is also pointed up as long as you're above $9.91. Still in the bearish control zone, however. Hopium is right now you are forming some bullish divergence on the 2-week by making lower lows on price and higher lows on momentum. You will confirm that bullish divergence with a close above $10.80. That should take you to somewhere around $12. Weekly also positioned to the upside. You're going to be pointed up as long as you're closing over $9.86. And you are starting to reclaim this 9 EMA, which has been resistance basically this entire way through. I wouldn't really see much of that other than a possible bearish retest. 5 days also positioned to the upside. You're going to be pointed up as long as you're above 992. This is where you're starting to get out of the critical zone, but still in bearish control zone. And very soon there's going to be an update coming for this indicator, so I'll be able to give you a lot more in-depth details with it. Don't have a time frame. 2 days time is also close to flipping up, but we are currently flipped to the downside. Volatility has just started freshly expanding from extreme lows, and we will flip back up if we can close over about $10.56. We are about 6 cents away from that. Interesting how this time frame is open. We are still within the bullish control zone on the 2-day as well too. So if we can flip this up here, it'll put in 2-day hidden bullish divergence. Only really takes you to about $11.40. Daily is now flipping to the downside with momentum getting out of the bullish control zone on this next open, projected to be right at the edge of the bullish control zone. So maybe two more closes with momentum to the downside, and you will break out of the bullish control zone. Right now, do we have a closing lower low? $10.40? No. So very close to hidden bullish divergence, but no lower higher low. 4 hour. 4 hours now freshly getting volatility expansion with momentum freshly flipping to the downside, rejecting getting out of the bearish control zone, and it's going to be pointed down as long as you're below 1050. So the higher time frames on this thing are still extremely bullish. There was some hopium after you took out this high, but now you've made you've now made a lower low after when you attempted to make a higher low. So the higher time frame trends are still to the downside. There's hidden bearish divergences forming on basically every single time frame. There's also hidden bullish divergences on some time frames, but they're very, very unlikely to confirm. What's more likely based on the higher time frame trends is that the bearish divergences are going to confirm, and the way that it recently closed on the daily with a rejection of the median gives you a very likely retest of our current lows. And if you get with how many times those lows have been tested, this will be the 7th time. Very likely that area is going to break, and all you need is one 4-hour close below about $10.20, and then all of the hidden bearish divergences are going to confirm all the way up from the 5-day to the weekly to the 2-week. And they will give you minimum targets of hitting somewhere around $8 to $8.20. And your next level below there is about $5. Very likely after that, this thing is going to trend to zero. I don't see any real reason to be bullish on this except for the low time frames for a bearish retest of maybe $11. Could see it go up to $13. Don't see it going really any higher than there, and I just do see that as a bearish retest, putting in more bearish divergences for the breakdown. The invalidation on the bearishness is going to be...
Oh, no. What's it gonna be? Imagine the person that requested this could only hear it this part.
Only gonna listen to this.
So
The invalidation
funny.
on the bearishness is getting a tick above $18.80, $18.80, or a weekly close above about $16.70. Either way, aside from that, I do think this is just going to make a bearish retest and just keep going down.
yeah, I would have just resumed everything like this. All right, see how this shit's going down? This is gonna go here and then go fucking nuke beyond. Chart simplified. Thank you, sir. That was great.
And by that time, those EMAs will probably have moved to that line too.
Oh yeah. Well, the 9 is basically there, which is perfection. And also when all of them are bunched up like this, and you're either heading up above or below them, it's really bad. Like if you're below, and it's really good if you're above. But these are strong moves. It seems like where they at? Fuck. Alex, did I tell you what was next?
Yeah. QBTS.
Oh yeah, QBT motherfucking S. 1 second. QBTS. And Mr.
Isn't that the
Farhan.
Korean boy band?
I would think so. I would think so. And then Tesla, the Nazi mobile company. Well, now they're a dining. They're like in and out. They have one location.
Yeah, they're a restaurant service now.
Now they're a restaurant. So I don't know how their P is going to really reflect their share price, which is like at $1 million right now with the restaurant, with how the restaurant's operating. But hey, we'll see. We'll see what happens next. Hopefully they'll start serving more Nazis at a quicker rate, and then their margins might just improve. All right.
God, you gotta love the narrative. It's so
I love narratives. They're my favorite. I love that people are really passionate about them too.
Oh yeah.
Gotta have a reason for price doing what it does.
That's right. Of course, at all times. And also, because now, just think about how easy it is to sway these people's opinion. Every account was Epstein is a pedophile. And now they're all like, Obama did this misinformation thing. So it's whatever the TV tells you, that's what you're going to follow until the end. And it really shows how smart people are. Or good for
that
them.
Was one of the funniest and craziest things I've ever seen in my life, to see people switch from that Epstein thing like that to Epstein doesn't matter. It's Obama. Obama faked Epstein. Obama and Biden made this little hoax.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh, man. I really wish I was evil. Because fuck, dude. It's not that hard to get people to do and say retarded shit. It's really not that hard.
You can make a fuckload of money off of that too.
Yeah, we need to become evil. We'll be Evil Trading Academy. We'll make it happen at some point. But we'll announce that it's evil. Evil Trading Academy. You're right.
That's fun.
Oh my God. I'm so stupid. I'm not going to include you guys in that one. Sorry. Okay. Estamos viendo Ichi Tan Group, que aparentemente no sé qué mierda sea, pero tiene algo que ver con comida. Estoy viéndolo en la mensual y es lo que yo pondría para simplificar todo esto. Tienes este mínimo en marzo del 2020, luego este en julio del 2020 y ahora estás justamente acá en abril del 2025 rompiendo lo que habías formado como estructura alcista. Parece ser que topaste. Este fue un simple alto más alto y este es un bajo más alto, si lo puedes ver así. Por más que sea alto más alto local, puede que estés encontrando acá más situaciones bajistas. Ahora, ¿por qué diríamos eso y no simplemente ser alcistas? Porque, pues, güey, está creando estos patrones que, pues, aunque no quieras, mínimo más alto, mínimo más alto y mínimo más alto. Ok. Lo primero que vas a tener que ver es súper fácil de saber si estás equivocado o no al ser alcista o bajista. Si aguanta este mínimo alcista, ¿no? En los que es 9.50. Si llegas a aguantar esto, esto viene para acá arriba, empieza a consolidar, empieza a ver que va por arriba de los 16.5 y de ahí a los 18, ya chingaste y esto va a continuar para arriba y este va a acabar siendo un patrón de aquellos como de la taza y la agarradera. Pero por ahora lo que tiene cara es que haces este mínimo para hacer un alto más bajo justamente en el rechazo. Recuerda, siempre estamos buscando la zona donde antes era soporte o resistencia para volverse lo contrario, y eso es lo que haría justamente acá. Este soporte se convertiría en resistencia y ahí eso nos mandaría la siguiente pata para abajo. El siguiente objetivo serán los $7 y el siguiente serán los 3.44, depende qué tan castigado vaya a estar. Todas las temporalidades altas tienen divergencias bajistas y solamente las más cortas tienen divergencias alcistas, lo que nos dice que este retesteo de esta zona es demasiado probable y después de ahí al nepe. Ahora, déjenme, no voy a poner eso. Quito esto. Vamos a usar el HPDR, aunque es la mensual. Esto pues salió el 2014, no está tan perdido esto de datos. Pueden ver que estamos en la parte baja del 78.6%, pero eso no nos dice el final de la historia. ¿Por qué? Porque esto cuando cae le gusta llegar al 100% en la parte baja y eso está en los 680. Ahora, 680 nos haría un mínimo más bajo que este, que está en los 720, pero no que este en los 350. Y ese podría ser el soporte que está buscando para continuar, pero tendría que aguantar literalmente justamente nos gustaría por encima del mínimo, pero si va a llevárselo para abajo, eso que sea el final, los 680 y que no caiga más. Vamos a la de 2 semanas. En la de 2 semanas todavía se ve más esto. 2 semanas caíste hasta el 88.3% y estás rebotando, pero también ahí tienes tu promedio del 200 justamente abajo de esta vela, en los 10.3. De perder los 10.3 va a ser rápida la caída. Ahora, aquí estás a punto de tomar la zona azul. En la entrada a la zona azul, tu primera resistencia que vas a encontrar son los 10.80. Yo creo que si lo rompes para ir a buscar el retesteo de la media o el promedio del 21 acá para que te dé el rechazo en los 11.60. Ya en los 11.60 te da el rechazo y te debería perforar este SMA 200, llevarse este mínimo en los 9.40 y a irse para abajo. Semanal, estás cayendo, pero estás recuperando el promedio, estás por encima de la media y esto nos dice que deberíamos ir al 78.6%, el promedio del 21 o hasta el 34, que es justamente, una vez más, esta zona en los 11.90. Y ahí podríamos dar continuación. No hay nada peor que cuando te mandan un mensaje que es como la estupidez más grande del planeta. Me quema. Ok, por ahora estamos en la parte alta de la zona azul. Queremos ir a buscar literalmente estos 11.60 a $12 para encontrar nuestro siguiente rechazo. Diaria estamos justamente, nos rechazó la media. Ya nos rechazó la media literalmente está aquí, porque esta vela ya cerró. Acuérdense, este no es una acción del mercado de Nueva York, es de otro país, por lo que ya cerró esta madre. Siguiente objetivo debería ser la parte baja acá en los 10.30. De no aguantar los 10.30, estás hablando de 10.1, de no aguantar los 10.1, empiezas a buscar objetivos a la baja. Ahora, una vez más y sencillo. A simple vista, en la de 2 semanas, esto se vería alcista porque estás mínimo, mínimo más alto, mínimo más alto, mínimo más alto, alto, alto más alto. Pero el haber roto este soporte que es esencial, más allá de todas las tablas de momentum, tener un cruce plateado a la baja en la de 2 semanas, ¿qué te dice? Que vas a ir a retestar el promedio del 9 y eso te debería rechazar, o el 21 en la mejor oportunidad que justamente está aquí en los 12. Es probablemente lo que vayas a ver. Esto es lo que creemos va a pasar. Pum, pum. Ahora, ¿dónde estamos mal? Si tienes cierres por encima de 18.7, de 16.7, perdón, es la primera. Y la segunda sería llevarte este máximo. Eso nos invalidaría la teoría de que esto va a caer y va a continuar cayendo. Pero por ahora lo que nosotros vemos es justamente esto y el movimiento a la baja en Ichi My Balls. Ahí lo tienes, damas y caballeros. Vamos al que sigue, que es LGBTQRSTY o no sé cuál. QBTS. QBTS. Ready, sir. You're muted. Oh.
It's not me, right?
No, it's Alex.
Oh, my bad. Huh. I thought it was fine.
No, no. And then when I saw you texting, I was like, oh, that's why.
I got confused too.
Oh, my bad. Oh, geez. Okay, no worries. Yeah, my apologies. Yeah, so here's QBTS. It's actually very bullish. I mean, last 2-day candle wick high made a new all-time high. Definition of bullish, you came down, grinded out a higher low, exactly where you would have gauged right at the 2-day EMA 9, flipping these wick highs into solid support. Now, when I look at a chart like this, you have essentially late longs taken out, late shorts taken out. Now I think we're ready to get volatility, and that's just shown. I think it was on the 3-day. The 3-day. This is telling me that volatility is, right. Like we're really on the verge now of getting a volatility setup confirmed today on this next 3-day candle closure. You can see here you have really nothing but air at this point. Just per the meme lines, if we look at the HBDR, you can see here solidly in a breakout. Next target would be right around $21.55. Break that, yeah, you really could start seeing a big move up to like the $34 region. So this is a big region overall for QBTS, and it is looking pretty bullish. You see here, the weekly is even kind of confirming what we see on the 3-day, which is simply that this is in breakout posturing. This is bullish, and as long as we are just going to hold, specifically above that weekly 38.2%, there really should be no question about it. Bulls are in control. Now, I'd like to see really where this moves into next week, because what you have is potentially the weekly EMA 9 getting front ran, and if we start really expanding from this point, you could start seeing a connection of the EMA 9 and this wick low actually connect. But that would mean that we would have to start seeing this move up, really. It's actually quite nice to see volatility as well reset while we are still in bullish posturing. That's ultimately the bullish scenario, essentially, is when you start expanding in volatility, going up, and then it starts resetting in the midst of it going up in price. It just kind of solidifies to me when I see that, specifically on a weekly, that, yeah, bulls are in total control of this chart. Now, let's see here, because we see the 38.2%. This isn't a weekly breakout. Volatility is contracting. Let's see the last time we actually broke out of the 38.2%. So here we had it. We didn't really retest it. Didn't even go to the weekly 9. I'll take it from this candle low, though, to this high. It actually went up 92%. Pretty insane, because then what you had was, okay, consolidation. You popped right back into the blue zone. Boom, you're out of it. Now you've retested in the support. Again, just solidifying that, this is more in bull's favor to go up rather than just wait. Here, I mean, you had a false breakdown, spring, broke out, you came down, couldn't hold the retest, fell back below it. Here you then broke out again. You didn't retest it up until this point, where then you opened back below it. Lots of chop, granted, but then once you actually did finally get the breakout, as we've shown, it's very big. So you haven't had really many, actually, weekly 38.2% breakouts. Here's another one right under it. This is officially when it broke out. From that retest, we saw a pretty impressive move. So, I mean, you can take that however you want. I don't think it's going to go up 1,000%, though. But rather, I do think that we could see that $22 region get hit. I don't think that would be much, asking for much, especially up here. It's only about 16%. Granted, you have been seeing two pretty dramatic weekly candles up, meaning like this one here, 8%. No, my apologies, 53%, 10%, 40%. Last weekly candle was 27%. So I, again, don't think it's asking for too much for a 15% move up, specifically too. And we know that the 2-day is just an uptrend. And this is perfectly just a higher low. Whenever you get these very easy charts, lots of volatility going up, You literally can just play something like this, evening star, follow through. Let me go to the 2-day 9, bid that. Cool, now that we know this is an evening star, bulls are going to try to break this high. Breaking this high confirms the breakout. You would already, know that though, just simply based on this being a new all-time high. That's why it's always nice when you get volatility. Just makes it very easy to trade it. Interesting. So yeah, the monthly is showing, you see 17.56 as solid resistance. You did have a nice topping candle here. So, bulls got the break of that. A lot of shorts probably were playing that. You've actually couldn't even get a full breakdown to that like $12 region, preferably wanting to flip these wick highs into support. And now what you have is potentially, technically speaking, a monthly setup that could take you all the way up to $43. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. I think this easily can shift. But again, you're dealing with a very volatile chart that hasn't really been around for that long. So you have seen pretty insane things on this chart before. And so that's why I would just look at this. And this just kind of solidifies that, yes, bulls are in control. And this chart's very bullish. I wouldn't be too hung up on that $43 target. But rather, so let's see what the 2-week has to offer us. 2-week often can bring more clarity. Nice move on Bitcoin. Academy Long is printing. Yeah, and so what you see is, okay, if objective to $22, break that and hold. Yeah, you could make a case to move up to $28. But again, into the next week, 9 days, these will shift. You do have a 2-week silver cross, so that can just at least tell you that, well, if you do get any kind of dump down, you should be looking at this 2-week EMA 9 as the extremity low. But this is looking very good. You broke out. You tried to hold it as support. You couldn't. It came down to support here. The extremity low rallied up, broke out. Now this looks like a throwback, and it absolutely makes sense if you're longing this, looking for bullish continuation. Just understand that if this starts breaking specifically $13.60, this will look extremely weak. My next objective then will be around $11. So, until then, though, yeah, this is looking pretty good. Nice move on Bitcoin, actually.
Sorry, I was muted.
Inverse head shoulders is playing out. That's exactly what I was playing today. And the boys are long, so beautiful.
Good. Fucking good. Want to see those motherfuckers make some money.
Yeah, for real.
Ok. QBTS. No sé cuándo fue la última vez que habíamos visto esto, pero esta fue como encontré mi tabla, que había puesto este objetivo de los $22. Claramente vamos a él. Esto continúa siendo alcista. Tienes un patrón de tasa con agarradera. Aquí la agarradera es la consolidación potente y huevos, güey, para arriba. El movimiento medido del fondo de esto hasta la parte de acá es esta línea. Ok, de nuevo, esto ya lo habíamos hecho. ¿En qué posición estamos? Alcista, porque tienes altos históricos, pero después de hacer altos históricos tienes que ir a buscar un mínimo, ¿no? No fueron, este fue tu alto, este fue tu mínimo, este es tu alto, y ahora muy probablemente vas a ir a buscar un mínimo. Vamos a empezar. Esto salió a la bolsa en diciembre del 2020, por lo que no hay muchos datos, pero vamos a empezar con la mensual rápidamente. Podemos ver que nuestro cierre más alto en toda la historia de esta cosa fue justamente acá en los 19.77 y estamos cotizando... no, perdón. El cierre, pendejo. 16.33 y estamos cotizando en 19.6. Simplemente con aguantar esto 8 días y 5 horas, esto va a continuar a la alza. Además de que tienes un cruce plateado justamente acá, donde acaba de popular el promedio del 55 y ves que el 21 está subiendo por encima de él. Justamente tienes un cruce plateado, lo que te dice que cualquier oportunidad gigante va a ser tocar el promedio del 9. Ahora, si ya se la saben y estás viendo en la mensual que el promedio del 9 está aquí abajo, pero tu zona de breakout fue esta, en los 11.43, 11.43 tiene más probabilidad de ser tocado que el promedio del 9 ahí abajo, simplemente por dónde está. Vamos a ver rápido si volatilidad nos cuenta una historia. Volatilidad está en extremos y está cayendo, nada. Vamos a la de 2 semanas, que es la que estábamos viendo. 2 semanas por acá. No me acuerdo qué les había enseñado. Me gustaría recordar que les había platicado por acá, pero probablemente si alguien se acuerda, pues ahí lo tienen. No, qué fácil. Cruce plateado también justamente acá, promedio del 9 en los 14.78. Esto tiene más sentido para mí que esta zona sea donde venga. Me atrevería a hacer esto. ¿Ok? ¿Por qué? Sencillamente por dónde está intercambiando de manos el precio. Yo creo que esta zona, que ya por cierto tocó obviamente esta vela por acá, sería una buena zona para entrar primero. Y la siguiente serían los 14.75. Si es que te da la oportunidad, déjame ver el HPDR cómo lo pone. 14.85 en el 61.8%, correcto. Y eso te debería de llevar, ahora este es 21.22 justamente a este máximo. Semanal, bajo, un alto, un bajo más alto, un alto, y ahora te gustaría hacer un alto más bajo. No quieres perder, yo creo que el 50% de la parte en los 14.80, pero acá, todavía no, le hiciste un front run, y ese promedio del 9 te catapultó de vuelta para arriba. ¿Ok? Diaria, estás en 78.1%, tienes este máximo, este mínimo. Y en la diaria te dice que probablemente va a ir a buscar un máximo antes que un mínimo. ¿Eres alcista en esto? Tienes que superar los 19.83. Nosotros le damos más preferencia a eso, obviamente. Tengo el objetivo acá por una razón. 19.86. De poder romper los 19.86 vas a este máximo histórico en los 22, me parece, exactamente. ¿Y dónde te debería de preocupar la cosa? Básicamente llevarte los $12 para abajo. 12.50. Si te llevas los 12.50 para abajo, estamos completamente equivocados y esto va a caer. Pero tiene cara que simplemente va a dar continuación alcista. No tiene pinta de nada menos. Déjenme solamente por curioso. Exactamente. El retroceso a la zona de los 16.80 va a ser lo que te dé justamente acá donde está esta línea, la oportunidad, la mejor oportunidad y también tu EMA 9. Lo que no quieres llevarte son los 13.53 para abajo. Te llevas los 13.53 para abajo, todo lo que te estamos diciendo está mal. Pero aquí mismo estoy viendo un hombro, cabeza, hombro invertido. Hombro, cabeza, hombro. Y este hombro, cabeza, hombro, una vez que rompas esto va a tener otro movimiento. O sea, vas a los $25. Es lo que te está diciendo esta tabla. Y una vez más, lo único que necesitas para saber si estamos equivocados es cualquier cierre por debajo de 13.50 o un cierre semanal abajo de 14.86. Ahí lo tienen, damas y caballeros. Vamos con Tesla, la empresa que hace coches nazis. Ah, no, la empresa que hace ya restaurantes de hamburguesas. The Burger Joint, right? This is Tesla, the Burger Joint.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm actually super lost because I've been out of the whole market stuff for the past couple of weeks. I mean, not a couple of weeks, couple of days. So I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
They launched their supercharger restaurant. I don't know
yeah.
where. Yeah, so
in LA,
Yeah.
fucking Hollywood, they have they set up a diner, which is kind of like a diner from the future. You have Optimus putting popcorn, serving you popcorn, and they literally sell burgers and the little like box instead of like the Happy Meal box that you get at McDonald's, you get a little Cybertruck. It's pretty cool. And
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, and it honestly seems pretty. It has a humongous screen outside where they can play a movie and then it'll play in your speakers. as you get in and you start charging your car, the menu appears in your car and you can order from your car. Like it's really well integrated.
Damn,
And
that's
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
fucking dope.
badass. I didn't hear any of it.
Yeah, and whatever movies playing, because it can be SpaceX launches or whatever movies that they have, because they have like this big screen outside if you're just charging. You can also do that audio and input it into your car directly. Like it's mega integrated. So it's pretty cool.
Pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, and it's just a burger joint. So that's the joke, that this is now a burger.
The most
company.
valuable restaurant in the world.
That's right. Forget about In-N-Out.
Let's see. Do I want to start with quarterly? Yes, it's a good setup. So right now on the quarterly, you have momentum freshly turning back to the upside, getting back over the moving average. This is the first time this has happened since about April this year, where we flipped back up on the quarterly, and quarterly getting back over the moving average on momentum on when it happened in April, produced a move of about 177% to the upside. And we went to a little bit above the top 38.2%. We went above it by, let's see how much of a percent basis. My eyes are a little bad, so I gotta get a little closer to my computer. About 20% above that 38.2%. Right now, that 38.2% sits at about $436. So if you take, give or take 15 to 20% from that 38.2%, just to get an idea, brings us to about $500-ish, $500. And we have been looking at that $500 on Tesla for several months now. I'm curious to see if it lines up with any flip targets as well. Take it from the all-time highs to the slow. No, we don't have them. Let's take a smaller time frame one though. Like from, let's do it on a monthly. Very curious about this. Even that doesn't give us 500. It gives us 6. Let's keep that 600 number and then back of our minds. We are approaching right now the quarterly median, which is going to be very, very significant support. Our last major rejection was of that median. Median sits at about 348, let's say $350. Right now, we are at the reset zone. So what is still very, very possible is we could approach this median, and depending on the reaction at this median, if we get a strong rejection from this median and this candle closes as a shooting star, this will flip right back down at the reset zone. It's going to put in hidden bearish divergence, and then we're going to be very likely breaking these lows of $140. Although I don't think that's going to happen. I'm more on the bullish side right now. I think we'll get maybe a little bit of a rejection from this $350 zone, but I do expect that to put in a higher low, put in hidden bullish divergence on the lower time frames, and then move up to about $430 to $450. Right now, our volatility on the quarterly is also back at extreme lows, with momentum freshly flipping back to the upside. We haven't been this low on volatility on the quarterly on Tesla since about 2022, right before we had our dump to our cycle lows at about like $100-ish. When we had our move up in April, that 170% move, that was from volatility at extremes. So now we're getting that same setup with momentum flipping back up. Momentum is putting in bullish divergence, and we have extreme lows on volatility, and we have the jewel not giving us a buy signal, with the jewel putting in hidden bullish divergence. It's kind of an explosive setup on the high time frames. All the way around, you look at it right now. And even the 38.2% is still a pretty significant move. But the 50% is a number I'm not even comfortable saying that this one right here had $1,000. And eventually the 50% does like to get tapped, because we did it on this. Actually, we might be significantly higher on our previous cycle high. We went to the 100%. So it's 50%. I'm just not going to say we're going to $1,000. I'm not going to be that guy who gets clipped.
Blink twice if Kathy Wood is next to you.
Oh, Kathy Wood would say we're going to $1 million. Ross Gerber is next to me.
Oh, no, because then you'd be like, you need to sell your shares. Well, but once you're at the bottom.
And monthly is also putting in the divergence as well. Interesting. Monthly broke these previous lows. We made a higher low. And if you close above about $357.54, that would be monthly hidden bullish divergence. How many drives? Not that one. So that's just one drive. But still, monthly hidden bullish divergence coming from the bearish control zone, pretty powerful. With volatility expansion, right now we do still have a bullish cross on the jewel with the pink crossing above the yellow. What we absolutely don't want to see though is we don't want to see the jewel go into the bearish control zone. If that were to happen, then this setup has been invalidated. But as of right now, as long as we are above the bearish control zone, there is still possibility for that hidden bullish divergence, and that would send us up to somewhere around this median, which is slightly above the mean line. See, last time we had the median move, did we reject it or no? Yeah, we did reject the median on the first tap around, which is about that $450 number. That's our quarterly 38.2%. Month 2 week is starting to flip down a little bit on momentum, still above the moving average. So it's not really anything to worry about just yet. We are starting to form a little bit of hidden bullish divergence because we have taken out this low. What we would want to see is a local bottom, which you would have to get a closure above, another close above about $330.90. You get that, that would be how many drives? Just one drive, very slight hidden bullish divergence. Could be enough to retest this breakdown point right around that $400 zone on confirmation. Volatility is currently resetting, not the most bullish thing to see with the rejection at this 38.2%. If we can get that close, then we should see above this high, we should see volatility expansion. Jewel is also giving us a buy signal, getting out of the bearish control zone. Is there divergence? No divergence. Weekly also positioned to the upside, very close to getting into the bullish control zone. Right now, we are right at that 38.2%. So if we can get a weekly close over there, that would take momentum into the bullish control zone and give us the targets of hitting somewhere around that 61.8% to the 78.6%, which right now is at about 370 to about like $400. But this candle is forming a little bit of a toppy candle, so I wouldn't expect it to go straight up, even if it does close over the 38.2%. What's more likely is you're going to get another retest of that 38.2%, probably even likely the median to just give a little shakeout, and then I would expect that move up. Right now, the jewel is losing the sell signal, flipping into a neutral, and we're getting a pretty bullish cross with the pink going above the yellow. And it's happening below the bearish control, bullish control zone. It would be a little bit more powerful if it happened down here, but it's still pretty decent happening below the bullish control zone, and it's a weekly time frame. 5-day also now freshly flipping up on momentum, taking out these previous lows, putting in hidden bullish divergence with volatility at extreme lows, and the 5-day is now also giving you that bullish cross. 5-day has not quite lost the sell signal just yet, but it looks like it's just about to on this next close. Very likely, as long as you hold this 5 EMA, especially if you hold over this previous candle's close at about 329, that's going to switch over to a neutral. And this median is going to move. We want to see where it moves to. We want to see it ideally move below price action, so then we can see a spring off of the median into the 38.2%. But as long as you are below the median, you're more likely to test the 38.2% and this cluster of EMAs. We have to see where this median moves on close. Right now, it's biased towards the bullish scenario because momentum is flipping up and putting in hidden bullish divergence. 2-day also flipping up on momentum. Is there any divergence on here? Let's see what this closes. No divergence on the 2-day. With volatility very close to going into an expansion phase. And 2-day also has a buy signal on the jewel. We are very close to approaching that 38.2% resistance right now at about $340. We can get a close over that 38.2%. That's what's going to give us our volatility expansion with momentum going into the upside, targeting somewhere around that 78.6% to 88.3% zone. I'm more biased towards the 88.3% because that's what gives us that move towards that $400 psychological figure. And I do think there's going to be a first time rejection around of that $400 figure. Probably a quick little crash from there too. Yes, Tesla likes to play fucky like cryptos. Daily is now flipping. Yeah, and then it'll give you the God candle after the quick flash crash.
Mm-hmm.
Daily is now flipping down on momentum with taking out these previous lows, putting in that possible hidden bullish divergence. Daily is very easy, much easier to confirm the hidden bullish divergence because all you would have to do is close over the previous quick high at about $335.41. That would also coincide with closing over this 38.2%. And that's what gives you that move into somewhere around that mid 300s at above like 355 to, it's a very nice number, 369. I wouldn't expect the first breakout to go straight to $400. More likely to hit that median at around 350 first, and then get a slight rejection from there. 4 hours now starting to flip back up, giving it a lot more probability that this daily is going to close over the 38.2% and confirm that hidden bullish divergence. And 4 hour is it putting any divergence? No divergence on the 4 hour, but it's getting back into the bullish control zone. And 4 hours already closed over 38.2%, back tested it and using it as support now. Plus 4 hours a fresh move across to the upside. What we want to see ideally now on the 4 hour is for it to continue to close over the 38.2%. But the condition for the breakout is we want to see it close over this wick high at about $338 on a 4 hour basis. If we get that, that's when we're going to get our green dildo into somewhere around 360, maybe 370. From there, I would expect a rejection. And that rejection could bring you somewhere anywhere down to like maybe 340 to possibly like 330. And that pullback I would see as an opportunity. I'll switch into the RSI. Quarterly still has active hidden bullish divergence. Going to be active as long as you're closing over about $214.25. And your next move on that divergence, the easy target is going to be the simple moving average, which right now is at about, oh, what a beautiful number, $505. And then the next move from there is the bullish control zone, which is sitting at about $679. You remember that Fibonacci extension at around 630? Said it would come back up. And quarterly is now getting volatility expansion freshly with that hidden bullish divergence. Last time we had quarterly volatility expansion was right about this zone here in October of 2019. And we also had hidden bullish divergence from the same exact volatility expansion zone. Although I don't expect this type of move this time around, which was about 3,000%. Probably not going to get that. But hey, maybe we do. Maybe Elon becomes a trillionaire. 2 weeks got hidden regular bearish divergence, kind of on the verge of invalidation. It will invalidate if you close above $330.90, and the invalidation target will take you to the neutral zone, which right now is at about 426. And what's bullish hopium to see with that bearish divergence is you're getting a full reset on volatility, very close to going back into extreme lows. Nothing there. Weekly has fully reset. 5-day fully reset. Nothing. 3 days fully reset. 2-day has now put in confirmed hidden bullish divergence with volatility now starting to expand from extreme lows. Very interesting. We have not quite confirmed the expansion just yet. 3 hours and 43 minutes, and it will confirm. And this bullish divergence is going to be active as long as we are closing above $310. And the next target from that divergence, the easy target, is going to be the bullish control zone. That sits at about 363. Some more confluence for that 360s area. And then since your volatility is now expanding from extreme lows, what's also very likely is the critical zone. And the critical zone also sits at a very beautiful number of $504. We're getting our biases touched all around.
It's beautiful.
The most beautiful bias touching. Daily has hidden bullish divergence. Going to be active as long as you're closing above $321.55 with volatility expansion from extreme lows. And your next target is the critical zone, and that sits at 415, very close to my meme line. My meme line's actually at 414. 4 hour, it has invalidated the hidden bearish divergence, already hit the target from that, which is the critical zone. And now volatility is expanding from extreme lows. Kind of looks like Tesla's got some busting action in the short to near term future.
Well, your daily also has an inverse head and shoulders with a target of $100 above or below if it fails.
Very interesting. Quarterly has volatility now expanding from that same level as it did when we got that 3,000% move. Momentum is now freshly flipped to the upside, rejecting the bearish control zone, and it is going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over $211.50. And also, we took out these lows on momentum while making a significantly higher low, giving you quarterly hidden bullish divergence. And that will, actually, that's already confirmed. Very interesting. The RSI hasn't confirmed it yet, but the stochastic has. Doesn't seem so crazy to go to $500 now with quarterly hidden bullish divergence. Monthly is currently flipped to the downside. However, it's very close to flipping back up, and we are about to be at the edge of the bearish control zone. We're not quite there yet. On this next open, we will be at the edge of the bearish control zone, and that will very likely bring this pivot down. But even right now, the pivot is pretty close to price action. And it's quite bullish to see the monthly is now solidly back over that 9 EMA. And with momentum to the downside, we're seeing volatility contract. 2 week is now also contracting, almost fully contracted back to extreme lows with momentum freshly flipping back up. And it's going to remain flipped up as long as you're closing over about $292. And you're very close to breaking out of the bearish control zone. If it was going to be bearish, this pivot would have gone up in this area. Weekly fully reset, momentum freshly flipped up, rejecting getting out of the bullish control zone. And it's going to be flipped up as long as you're closing over about $336. Slightly below that number right now. 5 days currently also freshly flipped up with extreme lows and volatility. And we're going to be flipped up as long as we're closing over $330.50. Last time we had volatility in these lows was about here with momentum in the same exact place. And we got how much of a percent move up from there? Take it from the expansion. That was about 100% up. We're not even asking for 100%. Today now also freshly expanding. Well, I'm not. Some of us are only asking for a 30 to 50% move.
Are you fucking disgusting?
Muy tranquilo. on maybe a cheeky 20x BTCC long.
Oof.
Today now with that fresh volatility expansion, momentum freshly flipping to the upside, rejecting the bearish control zone, and you're going to be flipped up as long as you're closing over about $305. And you've taken out these lows while putting in a higher low, giving you 2-day hidden bullish divergence. And that's already been confirmed. That would have target somewhere around this mean line, which is that same $360 zone of that, I believe was the monthly median. Daily also with that volatility expansion, momentum flipped up. Daily is now getting into the critical zone. The last time we went into the critical zone was right before we got that move up to about $360-ish. When we went into the critical zone, see how much of a move up we got from there. Enter the critical zone here. We went down slightly of about 3% and then up about 31%. Let's just take it about 30% when we entered the critical zone here. How much move did we get down first? We went down about 2.5%, almost exactly the same number we went down before. Now let's take it 30% from here. This is the fun part. Brings us to roughly $430. Very interesting. Very close to that $426 number we saw before. And 4-hour now with the volatility expansion. 4-hour momentum is currently flipped to the downside, but it's very close to flipping back up. And it will flip up if we can close over about $336.42. And then 4-hour will also put in hidden bullish divergence. So high time frames on Tesla are now starting to look quite bullish. We have.
Wait, what? 1 second. I don't know if you can hear me, Bar, but you need to know this.
Over about $212.
Wait. Now you can hear me. You're gonna have to start again because literally, it was like the other one that cut off like right at the moment where you were about to spill the beans. So we need that again.
All right, no worries. So on the high time frames, Tesla is starting to look extremely bullish to me, with volatility freshly going into an expansion phase on the quarterly from the neutral 50% zone, same place it did in 2019 when we had that 3,000% move. We have momentum starting to flip up just like we did back then, except we're doing it from much lower as a rejection of the bearish control zone, which gives us a very significant drive of hidden bullish divergence. Monthly is currently flipped to the downside, but this monthly is approaching the area at the bearish control zone where the pivot very likely does go down. Plus, we're also very close to the pivot as it is right now. And the 2-week is now already started to play out the idea that I'm looking for on the monthly, but the momentum is approaching extreme zones. It then starts to flip up. And now 2-week is forming hidden bullish divergence. Weekly is forming it. Basically, every single time frame is forming the hidden bullish divergence. We have a bunch of setups on the HPDR. We have Joule setup and RSI setup that right now targets somewhere around that $360 zone, which is our median. I would look for a little bit of a rejection from that $360 zone, maybe a little bit of a pullback. I wouldn't really expect to break $300 though. Anywhere from that pullback, I would expect to be a opportunity zone, and from there we very likely go towards $400-ish to my mean line about 415. We have an RSI target about 426. From there, you very likely do get a little bit of consolidation, and then eventually you do have an RSI target sitting at about $505. The invalidation of this is going to be either getting, let's go to the monthly, either a tick below about $214 or a weekly close below about $273. Either one of those two things happens, then you're very likely not going to confirm those high time frame divergences. The ones that have been confirmed will be invalidated, and then you're probably going to go to $100 from there. But I don't think that's going to happen. I'm leaning towards the bullish side, and I do think possibly by the sometime in the middle of next year, we'll probably tap $500. I'm going to give it a lot of time to be conservative.
Interesting. Thank you, sir. That was beautiful. Beautiful. We're going to do Rivian and XRP.
I'll do Rivian.
Sounds good.
Now I'll do XRP.
I was going to say, what's going on with Mr. Garlic Bread? Glad he's back. Glad he's back in it. Ok, estamos viendo Tesla, damas y caballeros, en la diaria. Por cierto, pues venimos de esto, ¿no? De haber formado nuestros máximos por acá, literalmente máximos históricos en 488, y desde ahí caímos, ¿no? Podríamos asumir que estamos en una tendencia bajista, dirías altos, altos más bajos, etcétera, hasta bajos más bajos, pero no nos vamos a enfocar tanto en eso, en este gráfico rápido. Lo que quiero que vean es esto. Tenemos un patrón de hombro-cabeza, hombro invertido. Cuando tenemos un patrón de hombro, cabeza, hombro invertido, ¿dónde es el objetivo del movimiento? Básicamente el movimiento se mide de acá hasta la parte más alta donde está el cuello. Entonces sería hasta acá. ¿Cómo lo vamos a medir? Vamos a sacar una línea de tendencia, ponerla acá, derechita para arriba y ponerla ahí. Digamos que rompemos por acá. Es más, vamos a ser nice y decir que rompemos los 334. Eso nos debería dar un objetivo tranquilo de los 427. Este patrón coincide también con todos los objetivos del RSI y lo que nos enseñó Farhan, que es bastante, agrega más confluencia a este movimiento, ¿ok? Otra cosa que me encanta en la diaria de lo que estamos viendo acá, obviamente no me gusta que estemos siendo altos más bajos, pero también bajos más altos. Lo que me encanta es ver este promedio del 9 por encima de todos los promedios. Cada que yo veo todos estos promedios juntitos y estamos teniendo un movimiento agresivo arriba o abajo, el movimiento tiene que ser muy fuerte. Y acá ver el 9 por encima del 21, el 34, el 200 quedarse ahí, ver el 100 hasta abajo, ya solamente nos falta que el 100 y el 200 se intercambien para que esto sea alcista, alcista, alcista. Vamos a la trimestral, pero déjenme con Tesla, empiezo en la anual. No se ha confundido con anual, solamente quería ver esto. 196. Ok. El promedio del 9 en la anual es las oportunidades más grandes en Tesla, lo que también corrobora un poco lo que yo estaba pensando de que tal vez si podamos ver este número. Y déjenme pongo rápido la de 6 meses. No, es la de 3 meses. 6 meses. 273. 273 sería la oportunidad grande. Y normalmente el 21 lo tocamos solamente una vez desde que ha populado en este gráfico de 6 meses, que fue en enero del 2023, cuando fue el fondo del fondo del fondo en esos $100. Así que el 21 sería una oportunidad gigantesca en los 184. Y hasta ahí, si tienes objetivos bajistas en Tesla y eres como yo, estás esperando porque ya te metiste bastante abajo, pero te gustaría agregar más a tu posición abajo, lo primera zona de interés deberían ser los 270, justamente por acá, porque tienes tu promedio del 9, y tu segunda zona de interés debería ser por acá, en los 180, 190. Va a ser lo mejor que nos vaya a ir en este retroceso. Ahora, acá hay más de eso, puta madre. Qué felicidad, pero suena bastante difícil a que lo vaya a hacer, honestamente. Vamos a la de 3 meses. 3 meses, podemos ver que todos nuestros promedios están perfectamente puestos. Ahora, lo que no están viendo muchas personas es que este es uno de esos movimientos de tasa y hombro, y el movimiento tiene un objetivo de literalmente un precio de 728. Una vez que rompamos los 414 a la alza, vamos a los 728. Y ese va a ser el primer objetivo, no el final del precio. ¿Ok? Ya me estoy poniendo algo Cathy Wood por acá. Oportunidad más grande en esta trimestral serían los 270, lo puedes ver acá con el promedio del 9. Mega oportunidad, 236. Y el sácate la lotería una vez más, promedio del 34 por acá en los 190. Ahora voy a poner el HPDR para que también lo puedan ver. Hemos estado haciendo altos más altos, bajos más altos en toda esta tabla, y ahora vamos a ir a buscar esta media en los $350. ¿Nos podría rechazar la media? Claro, por supuesto que nos puede rechazar la media, pero si rompemos los 350, nuestro siguiente objetivo van a ser los 436. Si llegamos aquí a los 436, vamos a tener ese movimiento de los 728, pero tenemos que ir paso a paso. Ahora, del otro lado, perder los 281, los 269 en realidad, que de nuevo, una vez más, toda esta tabla está en la línea meme, no sé por qué funcione tan bien. De perder los 269, vas mínimo a los 234. Ahí todo está bien, pero perdiendo los 234, podríamos esperar a ver esos 190, 188 por ahí. Pero por ahora no hay nada que nos diga que lo vamos a ver. Viéndola en la mensual, estamos también, tenemos este máximo, mínimo, máximo, sus propios. En realidad todavía yo pienso que no ha creado un mínimo, porque tienes este mínimo, máximo, pero también podrías argumentar que no ha creado un máximo. Más bien, ve. Me quito el HPDR para que lo puedan ver. Máximo, mínimo, máximo. Todavía no tenemos un mínimo. Entonces, aquí no me sorprendería ver todavía un poco más de acción en el precio. Acá es bastante sencillo, no tengo ni que ponerles esto. El trend wave lo quito y pongo el HPDR. Y en el HPDR podemos ver que estamos casi en la parte alta de la zona azul. La zona azul está en los 350. Queremos reventar a la alza, romper los 350, después los 370. Eso ya por cierto, y eso nos pone ya tal cual en los objetivos de romper los 414 e irnos a la luna. Semanal nos está aguantando el promedio del 9 y eso nos debería catapultar a los 370, que es lo que también está viendo Farhan. En los 370 muy probablemente vayamos a ver algo así. Pum, pum, pum. Bolas acá, retroceso y huevos. Y eso es como se va a ver el movimiento a la alza. Primero 370, lo tapeas, regresas a la zona del breakout y de ahí bolas, güey, a la alza. Diaria. Se los voy a dejar en la diaria y se los voy a poner bastante sencilla. No tenemos que hacerle tanto al pedo con todo esto, honestamente. Tenemos momentum apuntando para arriba en todas las temporalidades, menos la mensual, pero estamos a punto de voltear eso. En todas las demás está apuntando para arriba, junto con divergencias alcistas en todas las temporalidades en el RSI. Lo que estamos viendo en este momento es justo esto. ¿Quieres confirmar una divergencia alcista diaria? Lo único que tienes que hacer es poder ir por encima de los 338, que es el máximo de esta vela. High 338, plano. Una vez que lo rompas, esa divergencia alcista está en play y ahora ahí es donde probablemente podamos romper esto, ir a los lo que nosotros pensamos es esto. Romper esto, ir a los 370, rechazar una vez más, porque ya rechazaste una vez. Ahora, aquí puedes venir a rechazar, caer a los 350 e irte para arriba. O rechazas, vuelves a regresar a donde rompiste, que es básicamente esta línea, tocas acá y revientas a la alza. Tesla se ve muy alcista y todo esto podría simplemente ser invalidado, bastante sencillo, en los 289. Baja de 289 y todo lo que te estoy diciendo es absoluto palo. Y también en cierre semanal pierde los 273. Y bueno, esta cosa está frita. Pero por ahora continúa siendo alcista. continúa consolidando en esto. Me encanta este movimiento de los EMAs. Este es un movimiento literalmente en línea recta a la alza. Lo pueden ver acá. Y vean lo agresiva de esta tendencia. Con que continúe esto en los próximos días, deberíamos de ver para este fin de semana, esperemos el breakout de esta zona y empezar a consolidar por acá, ir a buscar estos 370, tener nuestro rechazo y de ir a los 414. Y de ahí tenemos ya todo listo. Una vez que estemos en los 414, este movimiento es el que se nos va a dar a la alza a los 728. No puedo creer que no se me va a ir el tren sin colocar completamente mi posición, pero es lo que pasa a veces. Alrighty, sir, ready.
Cool.
This
Let's
is
check out
Rivian.
Rivian.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Finally getting some volatility. We're watching that SMA 200 on the daily very closely. I mean, not only did you have the SMA 200, you had a massive support line here. That's pretty important, that $12.30 region in confluence with the trend line. So lots of areas where you should have been watching Rivian for a bounce zone. And so far we've gotten that. You know, we lost SMA 200. This is why 2 to 3 candle closures below a key level is very key, because we see here. Let me just delete this. You wick down, you hit the trend line, you held above $12.30. You did lose the SMA 200, so into the next day you would have been watching that very closely, because any reclaim or close above that would have confirmed that, yeah, this could be a bottom. Getting back above the SMA 200 confirms bullish bias. And then it really wasn't until we got back above the daily 9 we started to move up. So now on Rivian, we're looking at a trend shift on the daily. We see here that we've taken out the last major lower high, but that doesn't mean that we can't consolidate a little bit. Aggressive bulls are looking at this as possibly the next higher low on the daily, while conservative bulls wanted, you know, the daily 9 to get hit, maybe in confluence with the EMA 100. What we have now is potentially an SR flip, which is, you know, resistance being flipped into support. And today, right, this was the reclaim. So now today looks like it's solidifying, possibly support. So we want to watch this area very carefully, because that's the area now bulls need to hold. That is at, let me see, $13.73. In theory, if they can hold this, this can somewhat form like a bull flag while also putting in bullish structure, grinding out the daily 9, moving closer to that $13.70, solidifying this zone into support. Because what you're noticing is there's lots of chop around this region, and bulls were not really able to hold that. So on the flip side, if we're able just to grind out, you know, this region a little bit more, that could actually give us fuel to move up. My next target in this region is around that $15, specifically $15.24. It's a big zone. We saw here, if we go now, like a 5-day, a massive SFP play is brewing for bulls or bears. You're either going to get a reclaim. This will then give you a bias moving up all the way around that $17 region again, where then shorts around here will definitely start filling that. Or this will then just lead into a bearish retest, rejection. You can already see we front ran that here. And, you know, we did hold this for, I guess, 2 candle closures, lost it on the 3rd one. So it's going to be very important to not see this flipped into resistance. Or you're going to have a scenario what occurred around here. You lost this region, 1534, dumped, and then, you know, you ended up hitting the trend line similar to what we had here, moving all the way back up to that $15 region, rejecting multiple times before coming all the way back down. That is why this is going to be a very important spot for Rivian, to really reclaim, hold. That way then we can have a bias to actually test that $17 region again. Let's see here. We've been watching this too for a while. I mean, lowest volatility read on Rivian's monthly chart in the history of this chart. And now officially you're actually breaking above the moving average, telling you, yeah, major volatility is coming in the next few months. You know, definitely we could start seeing that in August. You're already holding the monthly 9. You've been holding that for multiple candle closures now. This is significant because it looks like you wicked up. You hit the 21, which, you know, granted, did make sense to find rejection. That was the first time you were hitting that region. Mixed in with just this channel we've identified, we're now towards the end of it. So with monthly volatility this low, us breaking above the moving average and specifically holding above the monthly 9. Let's just look really carefully too about this monthly 9, because I know we talk about that, but something we've talked about a lot is Rivian likes to move up, reclaim a major level like the monthly EMA 9, and then it won't hold it. And you'll get a lot of chop, then you'll end up coming down. And then again, you'll squeeze up and it won't hold it, and so forth. But here what you have is you've squeezed up, but you're actually holding it for multiple closures. This is bullish, and this is, you know, something that really hasn't occurred in quite a while. You've reclaimed it 1, 2, 3 monthly closures above that. Let's see when the last time that happened. So no, not this. Yeah, so that's never actually happened in the history of this chart. Just kind of solidifying more of the bullish bias and why this area is important to hold. Because as long as we hold above specifically that monthly 9, which is right around that $13.43 region, yeah, the next objective will be around $16. And now if we come all the way back above, you know, around that EMA 21 on the monthly, we've already had a rejection. We've already have price action with this now. So it would make sense to be watching this zone possibly break and maybe look higher. You know, and that's where that $17 region comes into play.
And this is the first time you got 4 monthly candles above the 9, right? If this one closes above.
Yeah, exactly. And it's already important to see, you know, it's already confirmed like something it hasn't done. But just, yeah, the more you get above the 9 monthly candles, the more it just solidifies. Yeah, this is shifting structure, and possibly a major move to the upside is brewing for Rivian. Because, you know, we've been watching this channel. Like I've done this before. If I delete all these lines and we just focused on this channel, if it's going to be right, you're going to see a move in August, September. And volatility is already looking prime for that. And it's not confirmed, though, until you really start, in my opinion, getting monthly closures above the 21. Because then, for my system, you'd have a free move up to the 34. That's around the $21.50 region. Let's see how big of a move that would be. Yeah, and that'd be a pretty big move, 35%. That'd be like my ultimate confirmation. You know, if you start getting something like this, break out, hold this zone, you know, you really could just see a really big move up. Volatility starts finally moving up from the lowest level we've ever seen. But again, that'll just be dependent on a few things. You need the monthly 9 to really hold, and then we need to see expansion from it. It's good we're holding it as support, but you know, it's going to be really crucial to start seeing bulls move up, and not move up and wick and then reject, but actually like sustain a breakout. If you look really closely, you've seen for the past few months, you've just been under that $15.25 region. So, you know, it'll be a good place possibly in the next 8 days if bulls can start moving up and actually getting closures above that. Yeah, again, just solidifies their bias more. But, you know, we are approaching the end of this, so it is quite exciting to see. We have a bi-monthly closing next month, so, you know, we'll just be mindful of that because, again, that now what was the EMA 9 sitting all the way at $38, you know, bulls have solidified this to move all the way down to $14.56. You're now trading at $14. So again, it wouldn't take a lot for them to actually reclaim that. And that's why I like using this mean line here. This wick low specifically is drawn on this wick low that was formed on January 2023. You know, if you just start closing higher time frames above that, it'll really start making the macro look better. Because then if we go to the quarterly, see, you know, it's just kind of solidifying this channel. We can't just range like this forever. And what you're noticing is, I mean, look how dirty these wicks are. When you start like putting it on the 5, let's see.
Sorry.
Yeah. Right there too. Very interesting. It's, yeah, we've never actually gotten above that EMA 5 on the quarterly. So, and I like that you bring that up because again, it just solidifies why getting any higher time frame closing basis is around that $15 would just kind of really solidify a major shift of this chart. And that's why I like using that because, you know, it would make sense to see that hold, reclaim the 5, bi-monthly reclaims the 9. And then possibly we get a shot at reclaiming the 21 on the monthly, which again would be the first reclaim ever. with volatility that low with this channel, it just be really pointing to a really big move at minimum to like 17 bucks. But I'll always say this, the fun doesn't really start. You can have all these lines here, all these resistance, but what you're noticing is once you get back above that red line, this is when the fun really begins for Rivian. And we've seen major volatility before basically come from this region. This is where you get those major gaps up. And it's not, again, out of Rivian's characteristic to just break a level and then just shoot up. This is like a 40-45% range, pretty insane. But once you actually break and hold above $19, you really do have a shot of going all the way above $27. Breaking that then opens up 33. And yeah, breaking that, you just are basically filling all these inefficiencies that we formed to the downside. That's why when things start breaking out and becoming bullish, you can just start aggressively moving up. So again, complacency, shorts have had a pretty easy ride down the chart's history. So, you know, it would not take much to like get a major move up to this zone. But you're going to have to, you know, fight your way out. It's a lot of chop. And that's why for me, it's good just get to wait for the levels and the confirmation. And the weekly kind of solidifies that. Let me just go back here. Clean this up. So, you know, as long as you're going to hold above the weekly 9 and specifically $13.70, this should be bullish. You should have an objective around that $15 zone. Again, that's very important because technically this has a bearish retest. You've seen this get retested before after getting lost. Each time, actually, we've seen this. That was the retest. Got lost, retest. And then here's the only time it really didn't retest it, actually. So, you know, you just want to be mindful of this scenario. This is what shorts are going to try to play. Any weekly closure, though, above here opens up the door to test that monthly 21. Reclaiming the weekly EMA 100 confirms my confirmation that, yeah, this is about to break out massively. Weekly volatility confirms it. If we start seeing weekly volatility really fire off, which means it gets above 15%, yeah, that could really then start a major move on Rivian. So until then, you know, you're better off just kind of waiting, watching, because even if this chart's going to be true, it still means that you could have a lot of chop until August, September, possibly. You know, everyone just wants this. That would be nice, granted. And if we do just get up only, we can quickly long the EMA 100 reclaim. That's just an easy trade. Yeah, that's all I have on Rivian. Overall, very bullish. The macro's looking good. You're having things shift on this chart that you've never really had before. And the next month or two can be a major month for Rivian. But again, you just don't want to front run these confirmations. It'll be really easy to identify that. So yeah, you just want to watch very carefully. So it really will start on like the daily, the monthly, the weekly, all just kind of holding this $13.70 region. If you can actually do that, then yeah, I don't think $15 would be very hard to test. But again, that's going to be where you're either going to reject or hold and move up. It's around that like $17, $16 region. So yeah, it's again just level to level, but in the very like macro grand scheme of things, Rivian is starting to shift bullish and look quite nice.
Yes, it is. Thank you, sir. Yes, it motherfucking is. Rivian, damas y caballeros. Bueno, todos se la saben, lo hemos visto todo el tiempo. Esta es una tabla que viene desde acá atrás de los $180, básicamente es lo que es. ¿Cuánto fue el máximo? No me digas que esa no es la vela buena. No, la buena es esta. ¿Cuál fue el máximo de Rivian? High, $180. Y ahora estamos cotizando literalmente más de 10 abajo, 10x abajo en 13.93. Pero la cosa es, cosas están cambiando en Rivian. Después de haber caído, encontró por primera vez un mínimo que ha hecho mínimos más altos. Este mínimo ocurrió en abril del 2024. Este mínimo fue abril del 2023 y nos aguantó hasta enero del 2024, febrero del 2024. Básicamente, casi un año es lo que aguantó este mínimo. Este mínimo ocurrió en abril del 24 Ya pasamos febrero del 2025. Esta es la primera vez NUA a la alza, aunque no es muy a la alza. Pueden ver que hemos estado bajo este triángulo, pero ahora estamos saliendo. La otra cosa que vale la pena notar es cuántas veces esta es una tabla mensual, cuántas veces hemos podido cerrar por encima del promedio del 9. 1, 2, 3, y esta sería la cuarta. Esta sería la primera vez que veríamos algo así en la tabla de Rivian, y eso empieza a cambiar un poco las cosas. Vamos a poner la de 2 meses, la bimestral, para que también vean que por primera vez tuvimos 1, 2, y este sería el tercer cierre bimestral en la historia por encima del promedio del 9. Nunca había ocurrido. Habías tenido un cierre por encima y ya, en toda esta tabla. En la trimestral, por ejemplo, en la trimestral tienes tu promedio del 9 justamente acá en los 15-19, lo que esta línea meme va a ser muy especial una vez que rompa a la alza. Nunca hemos tenido un cierre por encima de la trimestral. Vamos de vuelta, vamos a acercarnos un poco más a la de 2 semanas. Aunque algo se me olvidaba mencionar por acá. Tenemos volatilidad del punto más bajo en toda la historia en Rivian y estamos a punto de expandir. Ahora vamos a tener que esperar confirmación de esto en 8 días, pero estamos a punto de expandir en esta volatilidad. Una vez más, en la de 2, en la mensual, estamos arriba de estos promedios del 9 y nuestro siguiente objetivo debería ser los 15.95. Ahora, voy a acercarme un poco más, pero también tienen que entender que ando algo preocupado de esto. Una, en la de 2 semanas tenemos la primera vez que estamos por debajo del 15%. Esta es la volatilidad más baja de toda la historia en la tabla y vamos a mantener un ojo bien pelado en esta temporalidad de 2 semanas en Rivian, porque esta nos debería dar el primer movimiento antes de que la mensual en realidad nos dé el verdadero movimiento. La otra cosa que vale la pena decir es, habíamos tenido un cierre por arriba del 34, tal cual como lo habíamos tenido acá, pero estamos intentando regresar. Estamos por arriba del promedio del 9, que hemos estado bastante, y también del 21. Estamos buscando poder romper estos $15, señores. Eso es lo que estamos buscando si somos alcistas. La cosa para mí que es difícil de entender es temporalidad. Todas las temporalidades cuando caemos, básicamente es julio, toca tope y de ahí en agosto caemos, ¿no? Es lo que habíamos visto antes. Y también lo habíamos visto acá, donde era acá. Julio y agosto era el mes donde caías. Y ahí es donde tengo tantito cuidado por la temporalidad y también porque ahora están restringiendo créditos para coches, etcétera, están quitando los créditos de EV. Este cuarto va a estar bueno, no lo dudo. Pero la cosa es, tengo mi posición en Rivian cuando esto cayó. Voy a agregar a mi posición en Rivian como en Tesla. La respuesta para mí es no, y sobre todo no en Rivian, porque Tesla mínimo tiene los robots y las otras cosas que está haciendo y los otros servicios, pero Rivian no. Yo todavía no me voy a emocionar y agregar más a mi posición acá. Semanal también tienes un setup de volatilidad del punto más bajo en toda la historia y está preparando un movimiento muy, muy fuerte y agresivo. El promedio del 9 está por encima del 55. No tenemos un cruce plateado ni a la alza ni a la baja. Tenemos el 55 acá, el 21 acá arriba y el 34 y el promedio del 9 justamente acá en nuestra tabla semanal. Diaria, tienes un cruce plateado pero a la baja y estás ahora por encima y lo quieres volver a deshacer, ¿no? Pero también tienes expansión de volatilidad en la diaria. No, ya habías tenido sesiones sin volatilidad, pero no vienes del punto más bajo en este reseteo de volatilidad. Y esto te lo está dando en este subidongo. Les voy a dar el HPDR, la última vista, antes de darles absolutamente toda la info. Y algo que yo quería ver era esto. Justo. Ok. Exactamente. Queremos ser agresivos en Rivian, definitivamente queramos cerrar por encima del 88.3%, pero ya en este punto no te va a quedar tanto, esto es la diaria, en este punto no te quedaría tanto espacio para moverte a la alza. Ahí les va. Yo creo que Rivian puede tener otro impulso a la alza. Yo creo que ese impulso puede tranquilamente llevarnos a los 15 o hasta 16.60. Y yo creo que de ahí vamos a tener otra caída. Esto es lo que yo creería. Y ahora, no sé para dónde, si la volatilidad de verdad en temporalidades más altas va a expandir hacia acá o hacia abajo. Porque, una vez más, normalmente no quieres poner las tablas y usar el sentido común en invertir, porque tu sentido común te está engañando. Por eso la gente que hace macro está perdida. Y se los digo como alguien que estaba perdido buscando macro. Pero hay cosas que son ciertas en la misma tabla y hay cosas que son ciertas en los mismos negocios y también en lo que estamos viendo. Voy a seguir con mi plan tal cual de lo que les había hecho desde el principio, esperar a ver qué va a pasar este último cuarto del año, primero el siguiente, que no me suena que se me vaya a ir nada y voy a ser paciente y ahora se me van y estoy adentro ya desde el puto fondo local, me da igual. Pero me gustaría agregar a mis posiciones y creo que el FOMO de todo este mercado tal cual no me va a pegar a mí. Pero ustedes quieren ser alcistas en Rivian, definitivamente quieren estar por arriba de 13.31, no tener cierres por abajo de ello. Y definitivamente llevarte este máximo en 14.54. Una vez que te lo lleves, llévate los 15. De ahí a los 16.50 va a ser tu siguiente objetivo y de ahí esperemos que más. Pero, ¿dónde diríamos que radicaría un problema grande? Si empezamos a cerrar debajo este SMA 200 diario, más de una vez. Tuviste este flush a la verga y de aquí te engañó más o menos por acá, pero también lo que no sabes es si este fue un tope, ahora vas a venir acá, este es tu nuevo mínimo, vas a venir acá, a hacer un tope nuevo y, o sea, todavía no te lo está diciendo. Yo creo que lo más probable es que veamos un pump a 15 o a 16 y de ahí para abajo otra vez. Pero la estructura definitivamente es alcista. Una vez más, estoy equivocado a la alza si me llevo este mínimo en los 11.98. A la baja estoy equivocado si me llevo los 18.90 y continúa para 18.85 y continúa para arriba. Así. Es un rango grande y puedes ver que estás en medio de. Así que tienen Rivian, damas y caballeros. Mr. XRPP.
Garlic. Bread Garlic House. We'll do three months quarterly on XRP. Now that XRP has broken out to new all-time highs, it is kind of in a little bit of a consolidation phase before its next busting action, if you will. Right now, it is consolidating right around its previous all-time highs at around that $3.20 to like $3.30 zone, with momentum on the quarterly freshly breaking into the bullish control zone, and volatility is now expanding, sitting at about 70%. Not quite even close to being topped out yet, considering XRP in these similar moves likes to go into the 100% zone. You can't really compare it to the 2022-2021 cycle because we have a bunch of different similarities that we didn't have in that time. Like, for example, right now we have hidden bullish divergences present, which we did not have in the 2021 cycle. We only had that in the 2017 cycle. And there's going to be a lot more similarities between this cycle and the 2017 cycle versus the 2021. And another similarity is that in the 2021 cycle, we just barely made it to the 50% of the HPDR, and we had a rejection of the 50%. Right now, not only are we over the 50%, we're a good amount over the 61.8%. The only time ever the XRP has even been around the 61.8% of the quarterly has been that 2017 cycle. And right now, despite how much of a move up we've seen in such a short time, since about October of 2024, that is what, 9 months now, XRP has seen a move up of about 500%. 5x in about 9 months, it's not bad. But that's not the point I'm trying to get at. The point I'm trying to get at is we've seen a 500% move up in about 9 months, and we're still not even close to being topped out on volatility or momentum, nor are we at any really extreme areas on the HPDR. The extreme areas would take us to absolutely retarded numbers, which I'm going to say now are not going to happen. So we are going to find our top below the extreme areas. It's just something that makes you think that we're only at the 61.8% after seeing a 500% move up. But don't get ahead of me and think we're going to go to this $27 number. Probably not. Let me increase my volume to a little bit low. There you go. On the monthly, we're getting momentum also starting to flip back up. It's still below the moving average, but what I like to see is that this moving average lines right up with the bullish control zone. So if you get back into the bullish control zone, that'll also take you back over the moving average, and it'll put in hidden bullish divergence by taking out these previous lows at this point. The last time we freshly made it into the bullish control zone was right over here. And the instant we made it into the bullish control zone, we saw a girthy green dildo of about 284% in 1 monthly candle. When I'm not, what I'm looking for is not anywhere close to that. I just want to see a tap of this 50%, which the 50% is only at $4.15. I'd like to see it a little bit higher, maybe go to $4.20. That'd be a nice number to top out at. The next number that I'd be comfortable with topping out at would be somewhere slightly higher than the 61.8 at about like $6.69. That'd also be a great number to top out at. If we were to go by the move that we made on this last breakout, we went to the 88.2%, which is a very ridiculous number. That number is at about $13. Very unlikely that number happens. The only way that number even becomes like a realistic possibility is if you start to get 3 closes above about $6.
Well, you continue.
$6.44. We'd have to see a 100% move from here. But right now we are right at the edge of that breakout zone, right at that 38.2% on the monthly. That's sitting at about $3.29. If we can get a close over that 38.2%, this is going to be a similar move as we had right here. Not similar in terms of percent, but similar in terms of aggressiveness, where it's basically just going to go straight up, not really allowing anybody to get in on a long. And I am of the belief that if/when we get this move, that's probably going to be it. That's probably going to be the last one. And that's where the FOMO will probably come into XRP, and that's when it goes down only. And from XRP's experience, all the community members' experience, everybody who's been watching XRP for even a little amount of time knows that usually when XRP gets these very impressive moves to the upside, usually retraces almost the entire thing, sometimes the entire thing, and puts an ever so slightly higher low. Like if you turn off the HPDR and look at XRP in the past.
By the way, Tesla has earnings today.
Oh, aftermarket?
Yep.
What are we thinking that they will report?
Well, I would assume it's good since there was a demand pull forward, right? Like that's Q2. Like we're going in the narrative that Q2 was good.
Maybe we'll finally hit my RSI targets.
Yeah.
Then we'll have a reason.
Oh yeah.
So initially we had this pump up when in 2017. Then we had this consolidation phase. Then this is where the mania phase started in 2017, where we went up from the cents all the way up to $3. This was a very impressive pump. Then what did XRP do? We traced the entire thing and then some. We had another very impressive pump. We traced basically the entire thing, and this is the third time now. 3 would make a trend. So very likely it's probably once this is done, it's going to retrace probably the entire thing. And this is going to put an ever so slightly higher low. Low right here, ever so slightly higher low. Probably just an ever so slightly higher low somewhere in this region over here. And that's
between
where
50 and 60 cents, you think?
Yeah, between that this 50-cent area, possibly somewhere around maybe 70-ish cents.
Got
And anywhere around 80 cents is personally where I'm very interested in going heavily spot into spot XRP. Because I do think eventually it's going to hit some higher numbers. Probably not that $21 number. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But $6-7, that's pretty great from 70 cents.
Yeah.
With
little 10x.
With very little risk, because XRP is here to stay.
Apparently.
It's one of those few shitcoins with staying power. One of the only shitcoins that you can point out that makes consistently higher lows throughout the cycles. Very few of them do that. Yeah. The other one that does it is Doge, which is also kind of funny. That's one of the few shitcoins that consistently makes higher lows.
And ETH.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? It does higher lows.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's
you just
not,
hate ETH.
It just doesn't do the moves to the upside like the other ones.
Not yet.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Big dick crossed.
One and coconuts crossed as well. One worrying thing about XRP on the monthly is that we are starting to get a sell signal, which is starting to shift dark blue. Hasn't confirmed just yet, What we would need to avoid that confirmation is get a close over our previous all-time highs, which is at about $3.40. So in about 8 days and 7 hours, if we can get a close over the previous all-time highs, this is likely going to shift back into neutral, and then on the next phase, it'll shift back into buy. And it's just common sense. Closing over all-time highs is bullish. 2-week right now is starting to flip down a little bit, but it's still at in the bullish control zone. It's right at the edge. 2-week does have, let's see, we have a higher closing close. This is $2.95. This is, yeah, so there is a possibility for bearish divergence right now on the 2-week. We would have to close below about $2.24, and then that would give us a target of the 55 EMA, which would sweep these lows. That would be at about $1.54. At that point, I would want to see a very, very strong bounce from here if we go to the 55 EMA. I'd want to see a bounce that closes over this candle's close, which is at about $2.01. So anywhere over $2.01, then I'd be okay with considering this as the next liquidity grab and the next macro higher low before we go to new all-time highs. Fail to close anywhere above that $2.01 area, I'm going to say that the top's probably in our next RP, and then we're going below $1 next. But right now, it's still just a possibility of that bearish divergence. Just like there's been possibility of bearish divergence all throughout this move up. We never really confirmed it, so then it went away because we made a higher high on price. A hidden bearish divergence, which would have been possible. Weekly, also still in the bullish control zone, still over the moving average. Weekly, is there any divergence possible? No, not really. Volatility is in expansion phase. Not close to being topped out yet because this thing, it likes to go to the 90. And the jewels, once again, curved back around in divergence on there. Let's see. There is some regular bullish divergence on the jewel, which has already been confirmed. We've seen how much of a move up since confirmation? About 62%, not bad. 5-day also positioned to the upside. Volatility is expanding. 5 days very close to a bullish jewel cross with the pink above the yellow. That would probably be what gives us that move into the 4s, assuming we can continue to hold that $3 zone. 2 days starting to flip down a little bit, starting to shift a little bit bearish. Momentum is flipping down. Hopium is that volatility is contracting. And in the macro, we have a God mode sell signal on the jewel. Not quite a death signal yet because we still have the pink crossing above the yellow from the neutral zone, right below the bullish control zone. So this would be one of those setups where we're looking for this to flip down into the lines, the pink oscillator, and have that put in hidden bullish divergence for the next move up. That would be a move somewhere around this 9 EMA, which is right around that $3 zone. Daily is also starting to flip down. Now daily is starting to put in possible hidden bullish divergence with volatility contracting. The daily jewel is already starting to give that sell signal. Has it confirmed? It hasn't confirmed. And is there any divergence? Not quite. Almost putting in hidden bullish divergence on the daily. That would coincide with a move down to somewhere around that $3 zone, and then we want to see a bounce from there. Four-hour would be right around that 100 EMA. See the last time we tapped the 100?
Shit just keeps dropping.
Yeah.
Salamis too. Holy shit. Damn it.
Hopium is that it'll just keep dropping and invalidate any possible hidden bullish divergences. Let's check the Bitcoin pairing. I do that on the RSI. Let's check a different one. Binance doesn't have the best history for XRP. Bitstamp. The Bitcoin pairing is still looking pretty decent. Still above that monthly 21, quarterly 21 EMA, but we have a long time left to go. 2 months is an eternity in cryptocurrency land. But if we can hold over that 21 EMA, that should build out a base here for XRP and the Bitcoin pairing to see a steady move up. Doesn't necessarily mean the dollar pairing has to go up, but rarely does altcoin go up versus Bitcoin, where Bitcoin is going down. I don't think that ever happens, where Bitcoin is going down in price, where altcoin is going up in the Bitcoin pairing.
Mm-mm.
Any divergences? No. That one. 2-week currently has active hidden bullish divergence on this close here. It's going to be active as long as you're closing over about many zeros 1900. And your next move from volatility with this volatility expansion sitting at about 39% would be the simple moving average and the bullish control zone. Can't get any numbers because you have too many zeros. The important thing to know though is that you would get and move into the bullish control zone. Nothing. Not really much. 4 hours getting the same breakdown on the Bitcoin pairing with bearish divergence. We are getting very extreme on the RSI though, so it does make sense to bounce at that 100 EMA even for a bearish retest. I'm of the opinion that that's going to spring us up to new highs. Let's go to the dollar.
Really? New highs?
Assuming $3 holds, that'll put in hidden bullish divergence. So that
Got
should
it.
take us to somewhere around like 360.
Well, 20 cents away.
It's not a very exciting new high, but it's a new high nonetheless. Nothing on that one. 2-week also has, just like the Bitcoin pairing, has that active hidden bullish divergence. And since we got to move very significantly up, it's going to be difficult to invalidate that hidden bullish divergence because we can come all the way down to about $2 and still make a higher low and still keep this active. And that would only just put in the third drive of hidden bullish divergence. Right now, if we do get a move above about $3.65, very high number, that would give us a move into somewhere around $4. That'd be our critical zone on the RSI. Right now, we do have volatility expansion with that hidden bullish divergence from extreme lows. Last time we had a volatility expansion with hidden bullish divergence from extreme lows was this zone here. And that was how much of a move up? Well, we've already done it, 500%. Weekly has 3 drives of hidden bullish divergence. Going to be active as long as you're closing over 215. Next move is critical zone. That's at just below $4 at about 386. Daily divergence there. Not quite. Just barely escaped having bearish divergence. And 4 hours now got many drives of bearish divergence. With volatility expansion, your next move would be right around that critical zone, which is beautiful to see right around that $3 zone. Does it line up right at that 100 EMA as well on the 4 hour? So on the high time frames, XRP is still looking quite bullish to me with momentum still looking up, and you're putting in hidden bullish divergences. Let me check out see if there's any divergence on the momentum chart first.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterly pointed up. It's no divergence because you didn't make a lower low. Going to be pointed up as long as you're over 92 cents. Monthly is now flipping just about freshly back up, rejecting getting out of the bullish control zone. And that will be, it'll flip up as long as you close over about $2.62. Right now, volatility is contracting. You would have to close over this wick high to get that expansion. That'd be that $3.40, which is previous all-time high. 2 weeks also freshly flipping back up. 2 week took out this low, which puts in another drive of hidden bullish divergence. You have 1, 2, about 3 with fresh volatility expansion from extreme lows. Let me draw the horizontal line. This 5 EMA right now is the area where you would be, and I'll draw a vertical line here too, where you would want to see a bounce from. And very likely you will get a reconnect with the 5 EMA after getting a close above it. You would get a freshly flipping momentum up. let me see if I can find an example right over here. You got this move to new all-time highs. You got to reconnect with the 5, then you get another move to new all-time highs, and you also have the hidden bullish divergence on that too. Weekly also positioned to the upside, very close to getting into the critical zone, and it's going to be pointed up as long as you're closing over about $2.67, and that mean line lines up with the weekly 5 EMA as well. 5 days also getting volatility expansion. It's getting a little bit close to getting to the extremes. You still got like maybe one more move up before it gets to the extremes. Likes to go to 100%. It's only sitting at about 85. 5 days now also firstly flipping up, rejecting the bearish control zone. And it's going to be flipped up as long as you're over $2.59. Came very close to putting hidden bullish divergence, but didn't put in a lower low on momentum. Two-day is now starting to flip down. It's going to be flipped down as long as you're below about $3.41, which is our previous all-time highs. Volatility is almost about to go into a contraction phase. So that is some hopium, somewhere around that 9 EMA, which is that same $3 zone. Daily is also flipped to the downside. Hopium is that volatility is now contracting. What we'd be looking for here is now that double extreme, because we got our first one. As long as we hold that $3 zone, very likely you're going to get that double extreme. That'll take you to that HPDR target, which is at about $3.66. Has it taken almost? We want to see it take out this low here on momentum, where we get that move to $3. Very likely it's going to take out that low. Then it will be daily hidden bullish divergence as well. 4 hours now breaking into the bearish control zone. 4 hour took out this previous low, but we made a lower low on price, so there's no divergence possible on the 4 hour. What we would need on the 4 hours to make a lower low on price and then make a higher low on momentum. So we want to see this close in about 2 hours, 44 minutes. If you see a close below the 55 EMA, you want to see a little bit of a bounce to retest that 55 EMA, and then that move into that $3 zone is what will give us that possibility for bullish divergence on the 4 hour. Right now, we don't even have it possible, and we're going to be flipped down below 344. Flip alerts. And the hourly is now taking out the previous low, lost to 200 SMA. Fresh silver across to the downside, and we're freshly pointed down in the bearish critical zone, and we're going to be pointed down below 325. So the high time frames still look pretty bullish. It's only the lower time frames that are starting to switch around a little bit. They're not exactly bearish yet. As long as you're holding over $3, very likely this is going to hit new all-time highs probably within the next 6 to 8 weeks. And I'm giving it more time just to cover my own ass. The Bitcoin pairing is still looking quite good. Quarterly is still holding over that 21 EMA for the first time in XRP and XRP's history versus the Bitcoin pairing. We're still over that meme line of our previous highs, and we want to see a quarterly close over the 61.8% on the HPDR, which the last time we were at the 61.8% was the 2017 cycle. The invalidation on hitting new all-time highs is going to be getting either a tick below about $1.61 or a weekly close below about $1.90. Right now, I'm thinking on the short term that we are going to get a pullback to somewhere around that $3 zone, maybe slightly below to around like 285 to maybe 290, to reconnect with our 5 EMA on the weekly and the 2 week. And that would put in, confirm the hidden bullish divergence that we have possible on the daily. It would put in possible regular bullish divergence on the 4 hour. And that would take us to about that 360 zone. And then the next level above there is about 430. And if it breaks down with a tick below about 161 or a close below 190, then our first target to the downside is somewhere about 86 cents on the first bounce. Very likely you get a strong bounce from 86 cents, and then probably find its next bear market bottom somewhere between like 60 to 70 cents, which will be an ever so slightly higher low from the last macro low.
How sad will the XRP community will be if they lose the dollar?
If it goes back under $1, it's probably going to capitulate hard.
And are they going to come out and say, listen, now it's under $1, you should buy it because the US will turn XRP into the dollar? So automatically it'll go up in price. Will that come back again?
Very likely.
So what you're saying is hopefully XRP stays up so we don't have to hear from these fucking people.
Hopefully it stays over $3.
There you go.
If you even suggest that it might go below $2 ever again, you'll probably be banned from the communities.
Oh wow. No, that's a strong statement. No one wants to be banned from those communities and not to be allowed to be a community member. That'd be terrible. Terrible. Awesome. This is a nice crypto dump today. Nice opportunity, seems like, to go long. It's just a matter of a couple of levels hanging, right? Anything else you'd like to add before you go? You guys are set, free to go do your thing.
Nothing for me. Just watch the Discord. We're getting a lot of volatility. We're really gauging on Bitcoin the daily EMA 9 because we're getting a BBWP set up on the daily. I do believe if we lose the daily 9, that could give us an easy short. And if we hold it, that just could give us an easy long, specifically with it being at like 118 now.
So way to
just
close.
watch the Discord. Yeah, the
Sounds good.
daily close will be giving you the easy trade.
Damn. Look at XRP.
Daily volatility now is just about to break out too.
Damn. Yeah, look at XRP. That's crazy.
Solana too, dude, from $200 and something to 186.
Wait, why are the altcoins dumping so hard? That seems quite dramatic. They're down like 10%.
Is there news, boys?
No.
That's the meme that Crown does. Whenever the
really?
altcoins dump, he posts a meme saying, "Is there news, boys?"
Well, I was gonna say that.
Is it Bitcoin dominance going up?
I was gonna say probably the charts and trading view is broken because it's alt season. There's no way this is happening. Yeah.
Alex Becker told me last night it was alt season.
Oh, is he already like getting ready? Buy again the same coins that made you poor. Again, we're gonna try it. We're gonna try it one more time.
This time's the time now.
This is the time. Got it. Oh man, this fucking thing keeps dropping. All right. Well, thank you, boys. I appreciate you. I'll suggest to everyone to stay looking out of the Discord. And if you guys have anything else, throw it my way. Thank you so much, boys.
Next time we see you, I will be 29.
You fucking old fat.
On Friday.
Wow, that escalated quickly. No, congratulations. Almost there. Almost.
Enjoy
your pre-birthday celebrations, because I know there's pre-birthday celebrations.
Oh yes, there will be. It's gonna be a fun one.
Enjoy. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Peace out, boys.
Peace. Wow, buen Domsky de XRP. Pero güey, todas las alts. Y ahorita yo estoy en Solana, que acababa de hacer unas buenas ventas de mis pendejos NFTs. Y ahora estoy comiéndomela junto con la banda de Ethereum. Aunque parece que los 180 van a ser para Solana. Un buen lugar para entrar. Y XRP tiene cara que los $3. Pero tenemos que cerrar por encima de los $3. Es justo lo que nos estaba enseñando Farhand. Les voy a poner esto rápido para que vean qué es lo que tienen que hacer en esto. Ok, XRP acaba de lograr un nuevo máximo histórico. Ese máximo histórico está en $3.66, damas y caballeros. Altos históricos no muy emocionantes comparados con los altos de antes, porque el primero fue 3, luego fue 3.3 y luego 3.6, pero efectivamente haciendo altos históricos. Lo que sí, XRP continúa haciendo bajos más altos en toda su tabla y por ahora todas las temporalidades se ven alcistas menos las cortas, ¿ok? Que es más que entendible. Vean a cripto sangrar, damas y caballeros. Vamos al HBDR para que lo puedan ver en chinga. Y aquí es donde tenemos que ser realistas con nuestros objetivos en todo esto, porque todo el mundo se la mama con XRP. En cuanto oyen XRP, es como si salieran a decir todas las pendejadas que pudieron aprender en toda su vida. Estamos por encima de la zona azul, lo pueden ver por acá, ¡pum!, reventando. ¿Desde cuándo? Desde octubre del 2024, casi llevamos un año por encima de la zona azul y continuamos. Estamos buscando justamente los 3.3 en este momento, estando en 3.18. Ahora, de poder aguantar acá, les voy a decir, no creo ni de chiste que lleguemos a la parte alta o a la parte que sigue, porque esta parte está en veintitantos dólares, si no es que treinta y tantos. Segundo, continuó. Ok, el 78.6% está en 27, esto no va a pasar. Literalmente y por matemáticas no se puede ahorita, ¿ok? Bueno, sí, pero güey, XRP va a absorber todos los dólares. Ok, eso va a tomar décadas. Esperémonos tantito. Por ahorita, tranquilos, no se me pongan locas. Vamos a la mensual en XRP, volatilidad contrayendo en lo que tenemos este gran rebote en la media, justamente en los 2.19 en la vela mensual. Faltan 8.17 horas para cerrar. Nos gustaría idealmente cerrar por encima de los 3.28. 3.29, que es la parte alta de la zona azul, porque eso nos debería de poner como objetivo los 4.15. Pero eso va a ser lo primero que tengamos que hacer, cerrar por encima de los 3.29. 3.29, una zona muy importante para XRP. 2 semanas tienes volatilidad expandiendo, pero al mismo tiempo que está expandiendo, ahora continúa su expansión en lo que está cayendo. Vieron justamente acá. Esto está continuando en esta caída, así que vamos a mantener un ojo bien pelado a XRP. Por ahora estamos perdiendo el 61.8% que quisiéramos retomarlo. Siempre y cuando no caigamos de los 309, esta tabla de las 2 semanas nos debería dar más preferencias de dar una vez más otro rebote de los 3.4 y de ahí ir a buscar altos históricos. Aunque una vez más, los 6.26 podrían ser los altos, así ya exagerados de este ciclo. En mi opinión. Semanal tienes volatilidad expandiendo bien y esta volatilidad nos está dando un pompazo a la alza. Este pompazo nos está llevando al 61.8%, que también coincide con nuestra línea meme en los 3.02. No quieres perder los 3.02 dólares. De poder aguantar por acá, vas a poder ir a visitar los 3.90, 3.96 y eso es lo que buscas. Vamos rápido a la de 5 días. 5 días también, expansión de volatilidad. Estamos llegando a extremos, pero todavía no hay. Estamos solamente en 85%. Queremos romper 3.43 para poder ir a buscar altos históricos. Y el siguiente objetivo acá sería 4.85. No está tan borracho este pedo. Sí, de perder la zona de los 3 vas a básicamente venir a los 2.50. Y ahí es donde se podría interesante la cosa. Diaria, qué caidón de la diaria. Habíamos pegado en el rechazo el 88.3% con esta vela que parece topera, pero no lo es. Y de ahí hemos estado de lado y ahora estamos cayendo, digamos, a rebotar en la parte alta de la zona azul en el 38.2%. Y eso es bueno. Encontrar este rebote es bueno porque me dice que tiene fuerza y que va a haber continuación y que esto probablemente es una oportunidad. Una vez más, no quieres perder 3.15 y después de ahí los 3, porque los 3 es tu media diaria y eso te llevaría muy, muy, muy para abajo. Volatilidad está contrayendo, no nos está diciendo nada. 4 horas, volatilidad expandiendo ante esta caída. Siempre y cuando esta expansión continúe, va a empujar todavía más la caída y esto puede llegar al 3.06. Esta parece ser la zona de máxima oportunidad, 3.06. Porque si llegas a buscar el SMA 200, empiezas a comprometer diferentes cosas, porque no quieres tener cierres debajo de $3. Y ahí es donde los voy a llevar justamente en este momento para poder plantearlo enfrente de todos ustedes. Siempre decimos, la zona de breakout tiene que venir a ser retesteada. Esta zona está en los $3 o podrías usar este wick de arriba en el 3.09 o el que sigue los cuerpos de las velas en el 3.04. Esta zona es clave para aguantar en este retroceso. Si aguantas esta zona, esto te debería dar un salto y llevarte a nuevos máximos históricos. Pero si te llevas esta zona para abajo y de repente pierdes los 2.70, ya empiezas a ver básicamente mucho más para abajo. Por ahora esto debería de aguantar. Esto tal vez ya se dio la máxima oportunidad y fue acá en el 3.18, lo que haya sido. Déjame ver qué es exactamente para no low, 3.15. En el 3.15. Pero no me sorprendería ver un poco más para abajo y después dar ese empujón a la alza. Bitcoin todavía no está cayendo tanto, pero las alts sí. Esto se me hizo muy interesante, pero simplemente todo es relativo, ¿no? Si Bitcoin se mueve tanto por ciento, las altas tienen que mover más. Así que ahí lo tienen, damas y caballeros, sin pelos en el pecho. No, sin pelos en la lengua, güey. Como en el... Un segundo. Ok. Denme un segundito. ¿Prendí esto, sí o no? Ahí estamos. Vale. Ok. Con eso quedamos, damas y caballeros. Gracias por toda su atención. Güey, me lastimé el cuello. No les puedo decir a qué grado. No saben cómo me duele. Pero me voy a ir a sobar y espero poder regresar en un rato para ya empezar. Nadie me preguntó que tengo 39 millones de cosas en el funnel. Les mando un abrazote. Cuídense mucho y gracias por acompañarnos. Pórtense bien.